At the conclusion of each stage, teams will be allocated points based on their final standings. For OCN teams, the conclusion of Stage 3 will show us which teams have earned enough points to enter a promotion relegation tournament and fight for a chance to enter the Asia Pacific Regional League, whereas OCL teams that accumulated enough points will have their promotion opportunity into the Nationals, OCN. For both OCN and OCL, the top teams from each league will compete in seasonal finals to be held on LAN, where we will crown a champion in each league. This will be a great opportunity to celebrate Rainbow Six esports in Oceania and come together as a community. We will have more information on these events later this year. Ubisoft's commitment to the growth and sustainability of esports in the Oceanic region is higher than ever, with 2 exciting leagues of 8 teams, broadcasting over 9 months of the year, and direct pathways through to the coveted APAC League and ultimately the 6th Invitational. Opportunities are abundant for players in Oceania. You won't want to miss this exhilarating year of R6 Esports, so follow us at R6 Esports OCE to stay up to date with our season, support your favorite teams, and catch exciting content from the best players in Oceania.
I'm running out of time. I'm running out of feeling so. I'm running out of time.
The final play day for OCN stage 1, play day number 7. It's going to be a cracking night of Siege. You certainly do not want to miss out on any of the matches tonight. So many different ways that it can all end for the season. Joining me tonight, of course, Harry Potter, GCASH. Excited for tonight, mate? I mean, surely you are. You got to be.
Oh, I'm very excited. We've got Dev on Observer Tool. That's the most exciting storyline for me tonight. How many kills will the man miss? But no, more importantly, really tight season this year, and almost every matchup will have implications for the playoffs. So some big games ahead.
Yeah, the ramifications for tonight, I mean, it just goes without saying. There's so many different ways that tonight can play out. By the end of it, we're going to be very, very happy. Let's go and have a look at the standings, of course, and see what we're getting into for tonight, how things are shaping up coming into play day number 7, the final play day, of course, before playoffs. Right now, it's Team Bliss in first place, and guys, at the start of the season, I think we both would have been a bit shocked to see them in first place.
Yeah, it really is a turn of fortune for them. It doesn't feel like that long ago they were fighting to keep their spot in the league, but they do reign supreme, at least for now. And in fact, they themselves, Order and the Knights, so the top 3, they've all made it to the playoffs, but there are matches, of course, tonight that could impact seeding, so they're not just completely locked where they are. The only team, in fact, that can't make the playoffs is, if we look a little bit further down, LFO, unfortunately, because they're trailing by 4 points and there's only 1 play day left tonight. They can't make it, so that's unfortunate for them. And then basically anywhere in between, so that 4th to 7th position, there are a lot of different permutations depending on how these matches play out tonight.
Yeah, as you mentioned, top 3 are safe. That they will be going to the playoffs. That's Bliss, Order, Knights, and as you also said, LFO unfortunately cannot make it. But that leaves us with 4 teams that, of course, have got their playoff lifelines either in their hands or in other teams' hands tonight. So let's look at the schedule and have a little bit of a glimpse into the future of what tonight will have for us. Now, we kick-started off with what I consider, Guz, to be the warm-up match tonight. Knights versus Bliss, of course, 2 teams in the top 3. This is a battle for top spot. This is a battle for seedings.
Yeah, and previously, maybe heading into the playoffs, you know, the final play day of the regular season, we would brush off a game like this. But I want to stress the importance of the gauntlet format. Whichever team wins or whichever team finishes first, rather, at the end of the regular season, they secure their position in that grand final. So at the very, very worst, they finished second for stage 1, which is huge for the implications of the year, for just the stage in itself and the prize pool. So these teams will not be brushing this game off.
Following that, Chiefs versus Wildcard, and this is when things get spicy. From here on out, Chiefs Wildcard onwards for the rest of the night all have playoff implications. And this one in particular is pretty big. For Wildcard's sake, they have to win. They're the team, guys, that of course have got a lot that needs to go right for them. Any sort of loss, they do not make playoffs. And then of course any win means that Chiefs sort of find themselves in the bundle of teams. Then we've got Rafflecopter versus Order, another pretty big one. Order of course vying for top spot. Rafflecopter need to secure their place in the top 5. They've got a bit of work to do. And then Alifo versus Rhythm to close the night out. We discussed this off air earlier, guys. This is either going to be a dead rubber, or Rhythm will need to win and get all 3 points to get themselves into playoffs, of course, permitting the earlier results.
Yeah, and if your mind isn't already blown and you're spamming in chat, I don't understand what's going on, don't worry. We'll walk everyone through it very, very slowly as the night progresses, because again, there's just so many different permutations tonight, depending on overtime wins, losses, regulation, etc., etc. So we're not going to confuse everyone too early here, and we'll just step it one by one as the games progress.
Let's go and look at the predictions from our expert panel. It's pretty close towards the back end of the season. So close that you're either tied first or you're tied last. That's how close it is. But what a split down the middle to close off the season, guys. We've got some left of field predictions. Ducky's still on the Alifo bandwagon. Of course, Manic Monday, he has to be the one to try and mix things up a bit with Rafflecopter and Bliss. He's going for the chance to win. And then you got Chiefs on the left side and Wildcard on the right side.
Yeah, look, I was talking a big game on my predictions this year, but clearly they weren't great. In fact, to be completely honest, none of our predictions are really up to scratch. Like, what's the best win-loss ratio? Literally 50% going 12 and 12. So that really just shows how wild this season has been. And look, again, I'm sure tonight is going to throw a couple more spanners in the works.
Well, the big thing for me here, right? This is the big one, Gus. Dev, yourself, and I have all gone the same thing, except Dev has gone wildcard. So we are either going to be above Dev or we're going to be below Dev. There's just no in between. It also means no matter what happens tonight, we're both going to be below Raven. So I really don't like how this season has played out. It is what it is, though. And as you said, I think it's very indicative of the season as a whole. Not even just OCN, but even APAC South. It's been just so inconsistent, which is either a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not sure which way you really want to spin that. It's up to your own interpretation. But it has been fun. That is for sure. So whether or not the team inconsistencies is a bad thing, I guess we'll find out maybe in the latter stages of this year and see how the rest of the year will shape up. But for season one, it's been a blast. It's been a roller coaster of fun throughout these matches. Let's turn our attention, though, to the matches as a whole, guys. Of course, we kickstart today with Knights versus Bliss. This is a battle for top spot. And firstly, I do want to touch on Bliss because these guys have impressed probably more than any other team this season, based on probably the expectations we had coming into it.
100%, and I think those expectations were rightfully justified. Again, they scraped through relegations last year to secure their spot this year, and having a look at this roster, so many of these players have been stepping up on various occasions. Players that come to mind are probably Oda, particularly late round, clutching up. You've had Repix on the entry, Maining Zofia playing really solidly. Shade, I know, gets a lot of love in the chat. He's been around the scene for a long time, alongside Todd. I mean, even Nazgul, let's just mention them all, really showing up here in only his first couple of seasons of competitive play. So this team for me has been a little bit of a dark horse, but they're a serious threat. They could very seriously finish at the top spot.
Well, they're in the top spot at the moment. So if Bliss win this game and they get all 3 points, they will actually secure top spot regardless of the other results tonight. So destiny in their own hands. Their opponents, though, the Knights, who got off to a very slow start to OCN Stage 1, guys. We weren't sure whether or not they would make playoffs, what was happening with this team. Was it full focus on APAC South? Well, in the end, their skill prevailed. They're in the playoffs. It's just a matter of where they're going to be sitting.
Yeah, you are right. It has been a little bit of a sketchy year for the Knights. And in fact, heading into this payday, they're the only team in the top 3 that's actually suffered a regulation loss where they've gotten no points in that match. I believe that was against the Chiefs, 5-7. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, it's been a little bit of a weird season for the Knights. I think it's probably fair to say that a lot of their focus has been going into APAC South. But as we've echoed a couple of times, it's important that you don't give all your focus there Because if your results start to slip in OCN, it's only going to filter down.
Yeah, and look, I think I mentioned it probably after Playday 2, Knights were, I think, actually still without a win. Eventually, their raw skill, their raw mechanics would see through for the rest of this season for OCN. We saw that, yeah, they got off to a slow start, but we knew mechanically they were just too good to languish down the bottom for too long, and we've seen them rise back up to the top. 11 points is what they're on right now, which no team below them that's outside of a playoff position can actually overcome. So that's why they are 100% safe, and it's just a matter of where they're going to finish. Now, if they do happen to beat Bliss, they will actually overtake Bliss. Overall, I think an OT win, though, wouldn't be enough because that would obviously give Bliss 1 point. So they have to get all 3 points if they do want to overtake Bliss. This is just one of the many fabulous calculations that we're going to have tonight. This one, though, with less impact, I guess. Although it depends on how much first place really is going to matter, guys.
Yeah, well, I guess that question will be answered in the playoffs on the weekend, right? Which aren't too far away either. This season's just been absolutely crazy. How important will that position be? It means that arguably you get to sit back and watch the other teams play. On the flip side, maybe you don't get as much of a warm-up heading into that grand final. Personally, I would want to be in that grand final, just lock that position, and then you can focus all your study on the teams that are hunting you down. But we'll see how hard these teams go tonight for that position.
Let's go and see where we are going to be playing our matches. The other play day was a lot of variety. It is going to be Clubhouse, though. Not too surprising. Yeah. Not even surprised to see Oregon, the other selected map at the end that was banned out by Knights. That's just maybe how the night might go. And not too surprising, considering it's, play day 7. Teams may look to want to play things a bit safer. Go to those more structured maps, Oregon, Clubhouse, versus, say, something like Coastline or Chalet, for instance.
And I guess this goes back to our discussion about how seriously these teams want this first place. If you hold your cards close to your chest in this final play day, you might be in a better position in those playoffs. So I think you've framed it perfectly. Why take a risk in this final play day? It's probably not worth that much.
Yeah, and it may be the trend tonight, and if it is what it is. I think there's still going to be amazing games regardless of where the maps are going to be played. In this case, though, does it favor Knights? Does it favor Bliss here? I'm not actually too sure, because really for a lot of the Bliss matches that I've seen this season for OCM, when we haven't really been casting and it's been the other boys, sometimes the teams that Bliss have been playing haven't been at their best. So I think in a way, and it might sound a bit bad here, Gus, but I think there's still question marks for Bliss. And what way to answer those questions than with a Knights victory, right? If they beat Knights here, boy, do they look good going into playoffs.
Yeah, they do. I mean, in terms of a form guide, the only thing we really have to go off here is a 7-5 victory to the Knights in OCN 2020 on Oregon. But that was back in September, which was a long time ago. I'm not even going to do the math on that. And a lot's changed between then. Bliss are arguably a much better team. So maybe that gap's a lot tighter. Bliss now in favor, because a 7-5 is still quite a close result. And the Knights actually did decide to ban that Oregon map out last, maybe not wanting to doubling up there.
Well, the big thing for Bliss, and I guess this is, of course, celebrating Bliss in a way, because they have had an amazing season, and yet they're still not favorites going into this matchup. The only loss that they've had all season long was against Chiefs, formerly Elevate, in Playday 2, which was a while ago. That was 8-6, and that was at a time when Chiefs found this, really peak form to start the season, which has kind of diminished a little bit as the season has gone on, as we've evidently seen. So the fact that Bliss have been able to keep their form the entire season, coming all the way into Playday 7, if they can now knock off Knights, that would also mean they would stay undefeated in terms of regular time going into playoffs. For a team such as this that, under the old Ferox banner and missing playoffs and just always being short of the mark, it's a really big step up this season for them. And we'll see if they are going to be able to now come to the table to beat the big dogs, the favorites. Knights win this, they go top spot above Bliss, but Bliss win, they will secure the #1 seed going into playoffs. What an awesome time for this organization to pick up this team, follow their journey here for stage 1 of OCN. We go into Playday 7. It all kickstarts now. 4 matches to come tonight. It starts with Knights versus Bliss.
Heading into the ban phase, I was going to say the one thing's for certain, Thatcher will be banned. If it wasn't Bliss, it would have been the Knights, who have banned Thatcher out in every single game, bar only a few this year. That includes APAC South League. So I wonder what they'll actually ban out here. Might be the Capital. No, it's actually a hard breach. The only other time they've banned a hard breach this year was actually Habana. It was on Clubhouse against the Chiefs in OCN. So a little bit of a switch up there on that regard. They'll likely follow this up with a mirror if their ban trend continues, and they do. In terms of Team Bliss, they've actually doubled quite a bit into the mute ban this year. In fact, their last 3 games, they banned mute out. 2 of those on Clubhouse. So expect that to probably be taken off the board. Hey,
Homework.
Dev spreadsheet be golden. Let's go.
Homework completed. A+ for Guz. Yeah, I mean, look, nothing too surprising here. Going to see a lot of the Maverick play as we head over to Clubhouse for our first match of the night. Knights will be attacking first. Bliss on the defense to kickstart this best of 1. In terms of Clubhouse, Guz, fun fact, or maybe not so fun fact if you're not a fan of this map, but it's now officially the most played map of OCN for this season. 8 times played. The closest, no surprise, Oregon 7. So just pipping Oregon, although that's only for the time being. Of course, another couple of games to play out tonight. And from the 7 games that we've had previously, a 51-48 split in terms of attacker sided versus defender sided. So it very much is 50-50 here. If you can get off to a 4-2 half, regardless if you're attacking or regardless if you're defending, you're going to be very, very happy. 3-3 is probably par for the course.
Quick peek at the Snap Fitness community vote. 7% of voters in favor of the Knights. So relatively heavy favorites heading into this one. I personally would probably put that a little bit closer to 50-50. Maybe just the Knights edging out with a little bit more experience. But if the standings are anything to go by, Bliss arguably having a slight edge heading into this one. But as you mentioned, and as our predictions reflected, not only has just the season as a whole been incredibly close, but this map in particular as well, a very tight split between attack and defense.
You have to feel like the Snap Fitness community vote sort of basing it off also the previous Knights' performances and even peak Knights. You kind of think what Knights' best is versus what Bliss's best is, and Knights probably still takes the cake. But if you were to take it off this season alone, you would have actually expected Bliss to come into this as favorites, as you said, per the standings, as per the results that we've seen thus far. But that's not going to be the case, not taken into account apparently. And look, neither really it was on the expert panel. We'll see if Bliss can prove just about everyone wrong, except for their supporters, which I know there's many in chat as usual. Bliss on the defense first up. They're going to go with the Jaeger and the Wamai. Really stock heavy in terms of utility down below here for basement.
Definitely leaning into the util meta. Typical attacks so far here from the Knights, establishing control above, and they're satisfied. It appears that the roamers have been cleared if there were any drones established on the flank watch, and that allows the likes of Hayward to get to work on the soft breach. The kitchen hallway tends to always be taken out quite quickly, and then of course transfer that into control in kitchen. Todd narrowly misses a C4. It looked like a player may have been inside of kitchen, but they scurry away, and Todd is none the wiser.
The big thing I'm going to be looking out for in this matchup is time. Knights, more than any other team, I feel like in OCN, they play that methodical style, almost like old wildcard. They're happy to take their time, use all the time they've got, go for that 20-second push, even if they don't need to. Whereas a lot of other teams have become a bit more adapting and versatile in taking fights early or roaming earlier. And we're seeing a lot more, say, opening kills and opening deaths around that 1.5 mark, for instance, where we're about to hit the minute mark. Bliss are fully turtled onto site. Knights have got full control of the kitchen, and they can do as they please for the next 40 seconds or so before they make that inevitable push.
Hayward getting a line of sight in towards Church, the double door, preventing the rotation from the defenders. Kit's in the hands of Juicy. He's over towards Moto. So there's a fair chance we might see a Church wall drop here. It looked like the wall had already been reached a little bit there in front of the black box position. A little bit unsure as to whether that's the case. In fact, it has. Wall's soft as well. So that's actually been set up, I believe, by Bliss. Maybe trying to deny that point of entry and allowing Shade to play a little bit more freely. This will probably be the linchpin of the defense. If Shade is cleared, the Knights should take the round.
Yeah, it allows Shade to get those gas canisters out early. You can see he's used all of them already, even though we've got 13 seconds left in the round. So no late second smokes coming out. Rapic's low over in blue. Hayward's going to go down here after Sejon got the elimination onto Shade. So it is slightly advantaged Bliss, especially on the defense. I don't see a way that Knight's going to get this plant down at all. And they just fall one by one. Good start, Bliss. Knights took their time and they get punished for it.
Yeah, good little shutdown there in the end by Bliss. It's a good little hybrid of a utility setup slash a bit of aggro. I like that on the triple church wall, facilitating the smoke play. And whilst it may not have been the linchpin I was expecting there at the very end of the round, it did bottle up the attack as they pushed down the main stairs, and as the rest of the attack tried to push through the kitchen hatch drop and in towards Armory, they were met with death. So that's a good start for the defense and a nice little momentum booster.
And nothing too crazy either, really, from either team. Most importantly, though, we didn't see really Bliss put any sort of pressure above, whether it was first floor, second floor. They weren't looking to find picks. They weren't looking to get too aggressive, too aggro in the face of Knights. We've seen some teams throughout OCN try and play that way, end up giving a pick or two away, and then they're at a disadvantage for the remainder of the round. Bliss just playing a much more structured defensive approach. Knights just taking too long to deal with that. We'll see if they're going to be able to deal with this CCTV and cash site now for round number 2.
Ezgul again electing to bring the Goyo, so he'll be able to bring 2 Vulcan shields to the table. One was placed inside of cash. I don't know where the second one's placed. If Dev can find it, that would be great. Oh, it's inside a con, facing in towards bedroom. So Bliss again. It is this weird hybrid of aggressive setup slash util. They're placing the shields that need to be cleared, but they're also opening lines of sight deep in towards con from cash. Now that's not too unusual, but it will facilitate that late round aggression from Bliss as they push back that Knight's attack.
This is just free for Dino to open up garage, nice and early for Knights. Just establishes that garage pressure super early. Juicy's working on this kennel's wall. This is probably the site though where Bliss do not want to allow Knights to just have free will off-site and open up every and establish all these sight lines too comfortably. Bliss will have to get more involved earlier in the round than, say, Church Arsenal prior. A lot of time on the clock, though. The big thing for me is whether or not Knights will pull pressure through con at some point, but it is at the moment looking like a garage and CCTV wall push.
It is indeed, as the breach has been opened, as well as what garage. Hayward cooks a nade and will send that over towards the mini stairs there, leading in towards lounge. Not sure if... Surely that wasn't the nade that took down the shield. Either way, it is taken off the board, and Nazgul now will aggress on that towards the bottom of main stairs. There's a player at the main door, but Shade might be alongside to assist.
See, I don't mind this though from Nazgul. Just trying to catch a Knight's attacker unaware, pushing down slightly red stairs. Sage is going to get the opening picked onto Sage is going to get onto Shade. Boy, that is a tongue twister. Otis still up in rafters for Bliss. 4 versus 4. C4 goes out. Not too much information. Misses completely, but he's starting to feel the pressure.
Tricky angle here for Juicy to win outside, but Sage is there to assist. They can flash this out. Dino as well.
Oh.
Lends a hand, and Oda's taken down. This forfeits garage to the attack, and the Knights can start to mount.
Yeah, pretty good. 50 seconds left. Knights have got the advantage. Now they've got control of garage. They've got sightlines from CCTV wall. This is shaping up to be a good round for the Knights compared to the prior one in round number 1. Sage down below. Juicy's going to go through, get that plant down. He's got a lot of cover as well. You can see Josh just rappelling off to the right-hand side. He's got the cross sight over on Kennel's wall. Hot somehow gets in and gets the kill onto Juicy, though. Has full control of top red. A lot of work to do.
Timer continues to tick down. Keep in mind, it takes 7 seconds to counter defuse. Continues to trickle as the defenders take control of the site, but Josh is in the power position. He's holding the cross on the rappel, but he ducks down. That could have been right at the wrong time, but it doesn't really matter. They're all mowed down nonetheless, and Josh actually does claim the final pick, the Knights to take the round.
Not gonna lie, guys, my heart flustered a little bit there for a second as he looked down on the rappel and maybe just gave Bliss the slimmest of hopes of being able to cross, get towards rafters, maybe find a pick, and then get on the plan. Last didn't happen. Knights get the round win. playing that one much better than the first round. Right now, these first 2 rounds are going to be indicative of how this best of 1 plays out. We've got ourselves a right old series that could go the distance. Both teams playing well. Knights, of course, their form has picked up in recent weeks. It's not the same Knights from Playdays 1 and 2 of OCN. Maybe not quite 100% Knights, but they're about 90-95%. They're almost there. Bliss, on the other hand, of course, playing career best Siege. Head over to Gym Bedroom. Nice and early here on Clubhouse. It's Guz's favorite site.
Yep, Gym Bedroom. Glad that we're seeing it being brought out here by the defense, and Bliss are not going to, well, they can't go down below just yet. But they're not going, of course, to re-intent CC and Cash. Again, pretty similar lineup here from the defense. Todd playing Valkyrie will be able to provide some additional intel to the team alongside the Maestro cameras as well. So there should be a lot to work with here for Bliss. That will likely assist them in their more aggressive playstyle. Don't know how I feel about that camera, Todd. Maybe a little bit too obvious. The second one, or the second placement disguised a little bit better.
I mean, even if it is obvious, it's still going to give you intel. It's still going to give you information. It probably gets taken out pretty easy from that gym window at some point, but then depends on what you do with that info later on in the round. As I mentioned earlier at the start of this game, though, there's really no favored side. Clubhouse has really become 50-50 almost on all of the sites, especially a site like Gym Bedroom used to be considered the more attacker-sided site. We have seen in recent times, though, defenders able to play this quite well. A lot more emphasis over towards Cash has made things harder for the attackers. Top Red is now in flames, like its name.
There's a player there.
Josh expecting the run-up, actually, though, from Red, and Nazgul has done just that, and he might get a third. No, only half health on Dino, who wins that. Fortunately, otherwise that could have been round over just like in an instant, really. The fact that they were expecting Nazgul to push up top Red, and he does so and then finds a double, that's... Knights just caught napping a little bit.
Is it now in a 3 versus 3 with just over half the round remaining? Hayward drones forward to find intel, but Todd, in the meantime, does drop the Ash. One of the key fraggers in this round will no longer play part. That said, Dino and Hayward are a little bit of a dynamic duo. They've been playing together for a while now, and sure they'll be able to get something going here. Still an inkling of hope for the Knights in this round, albeit a small one.
And despite Dino's role, he has been franking out all the stage 1, both OCN and APAC South. He's capable. He's already got 3 kills to his name as well in these first 3 rounds. And there's a lot of time here as well. This can't be understated. There's a minute left. Knights don't have to rush this as it stands currently. They've got a good 40 seconds or so to really check things out, try and flush out a few positions, get members of Bliss moving around. Oh, that swing, though. I don't think Hayward was expecting Todd to just almost walk straight through the door. And he gets the second as well onto Dino, shuts out the round. Bliss go up 2-1.
Todd there rocking the phase skin. Looking very, very nice with the JIESCA charm. Repping the Aussie. Cool to see. It's a good start here for Bliss. It's a 2-1 result in their initial rotations. Of course, you never see the third side here on Clubhouse unless teams are memeing, which neither of these teams will be, I presume. So again, that narrative of Clubhouse being really even just continues to ring true.
We head back down to Church Arsenal. Bliss were successful first go around. In fact, it was very successful without being a flawless round, guys. It was almost as flawless as it could get. Knights really not ever standing a chance. I suspect that they're going to pick things up quicker here, but I do like this. So you mentioned it last time out, the soft wall being left open by Shay. It allows him to get those gas canisters out a lot earlier towards that push rather than, say, 10 seconds left and still having 3 in hand. He's already used them all by then.
I really like this new meta downstairs with the shields. We've seen quite a few teams do this now. They place Goyo shields or deployable shields on the boxes inside of Armory. which of course just extends the amount of cover that you have from the kitchen hatch. And in combination with the slight adjustment that they made to the map just to the right of Todd with the stack being heightened, it really does make the back of Arsenal quite strong. We did see a glimpse as well of that set up towards the bottom of the main stairs, and saw Shade playing off that in the previous round, and it did prove to be quite tricky to clear. So I like the fact that the Bliss are doubling down on that, playing their way, and they're forcing the Knights to adapt and overcome that.
The thing for me, though, is that Bliss don't have to get too aggressive. They don't have to make too many plays. I mean, they saw the evidence of that in the first round where they were, I think almost all of them were turtling on site down in basement. And yet Knight still just took so long in dealing with Bliss's defense. So that means that there's not really much of an emphasis on Bliss to get too aggressive, looking to find picks. They have no roamers above. No one that's going to flank onto Knights as they're sort of preparing, opening up these hatches, for instance. Minute and a half. Again, it's just going to shape up to be that last second drop down. Unless they go down moto hatch early, say at around the minute mark or even 45-second mark, that's going to open things up a lot more for Knights.
I don't really see that happening though. Dino more than likely will just play bot main stairs, which he is at the moment. Typically, if you are going to have someone drop the hatch, it would be maybe the Ace, if not the Thermite. Ace, of course, was banned out, so maybe if we see a Thermite brought to the board, that could be the play. I think what's really troubling the Knights at the moment is actually that set up at the bottom of the main stairs, because it does make it quite tricky for Dino and quite risky to peek around and open up that triple wall. He's droning it to make sure it's safe. The shield was taken down. Sage, meanwhile, dunks and finds one. Tries to find the second and does. No one responding here from Bliss. It's 3. Could it be 4? And it is. He's on for the ace. It's Todd left, but Josh steals it. And out of nowhere, the Knights will just take the round.
What do you mean out of nowhere?
Well, I wasn't expecting that.
I'm pretty sure I said something about Moto Hatch.
Yeah,
said it might open the round up a little bit.
I mean, that was your one good call in a year and a half of passing Siege. I'll give it to you.
Let's look at the replay, though, for this one, because it happened very quick, and it did catch us by surprise, and I certainly would say it caught Bliss by surprise. I mean, Sage literally just drops down Motor Hatch, walks in to Church, and then just catches, 2 very quickly, gets a nice snap through into blue, and the round was over just like that. Knights taking Church Arsenal with ease in the end. Well, I say Knights, but it was really Sage.
Yeah, the Sage show. We might have to just get a Sage cam for the next round. Let's just spectate him the entire time. That would be quite the treat. And that is quite interesting. Sage, I could have sworn that when he was initially brought onto this roster, he played more of a support role. But he's naturally sort of transitioned into a more aggressive entry role, which so far has been working out for him. And in this match in particular, proving very fruitful. 7-2 off the back of that 4K, which is quite impressive. Only 4 rounds into this matchup. So, of course, the Knights will be leaning into that. Hopefully, that continues for them. And if you have a player just send it in 5 picks, it makes the rest of the team's lives a little bit easier.
So the last time we saw Cash and CCTV, I mean, Garage wasn't given up too easily. And there was emphasis from Bliss in defending it, few ADSs. But for the most part, Knights were able to just push their way in too early on. They got the CCTV wall opened up nice and early. Just much more methodical compared to their very first opening round. It doesn't spell good news for Bliss. If Knights win this, they go to 3. And it just means that at the very least, they're going to be par for the course in terms of this first half. Shade finding that opening frag though into Hayward, and now Bliss feeling as if they're going to get more involved early. That was that either run out or just at least spawn peek from Freezer. And that's something we haven't seen from Bliss so far. It's taken until round 5 and it's worked.
Yeah, and of course Bliss played Consulate last night against Wildcard and they didn't shy away from spawn peeks. I guess you could make the argument that Consulate more conducive to that playstyle. Wow, I love that Ash charge. That is really efficient there from the Knights. Opens up or allows the wall to get opened up by clearing out the utility, and they just send it deep. They find a couple of picks. It's now a 3 versus 3. Juicy sends it deep to the top of main and finds one. It's Oda and Repix now left to try and bring this one back, but Repix is shut down. It's Oda, the man, the myth, the legend, but he can't do anything. Sage hits the shot, and the Knights, again, with another explosive execute, will take the round.
The first 4 rounds, guys, playing out like standard Clubhouse. Slow, methodical, structured. And these last 2 round Knights have just flipped the script. They've gone full gung-ho. Explosive pushes onto site have, again, just caught Bliss completely unaware. I was completely unaware of that happening as well. I mean, the Maverick just bursting through after the exothermic charge goes off, pushing towards top red. They had control down below, which is why they were able to do that. But man, Bliss just unable. How do you even just counter that?
I'd love to know, of course, it's really difficult for us to tell live if the Knights are actually gaining intel insight with drones and then playing off that, or is it just a confidence feel thing? Again, a little bit tricky to tell. One thing that might be helping them here is the fact that Bliss actually banned out the mute. That might be allowing them to get drones into sight a little bit more easily and then playing off that intel. Again, tricky to tell. There is also the flip side where the Knights roughly sort of know what's clear and then send it in and play off trades and are just winning all their ones and effectively don't need to trade. That is, of course, another possibility. But at the end of the day, Bliss are dropping rounds and this aggression just is not being matched.
Sage on a 9 bomb already in 5 rounds played. Looking to go into double digits by the end of the half has just been so instrumental for Knights on the attack, as they have an opportunity to go 4-2.5 and take a pretty clear advantage going onto the defense side for Clubhouse. As I mentioned before, it's a pretty 50-50 sort of map nowadays, and going up 4-2 really into any other side, it doesn't really matter. Full garage control for Knights. Are they going to go early again? They're going to find an early pick.
What?
2.5 minutes into the round, Hayward will eliminate Todd as he just dropped down logistics hatch and giving himself a nice cozy bunker. Shade from below. How does that not get the elimination onto Hayward? They have the information. They know he's in logistics, but Hayward is just going to hold this angle, and it may work out by the pixel. He captures Oda's head. Shade at least gets the refrag, but it's all falling apart for Bliss. We've still got 2 minutes on the clock.
Oh no, it's now a 2 versus 2 as Dino drops from the server. Nazgul and Shade, though, they're both so low. Nazgul survives one more bullet, though. He's still alive. Shade as well inside of logistics. It's going to be tough to hold out here for a minute 40. The Knights with util, with drones, nades as well, critically on the board. All it takes is for Juicy to place one nicely here. He could get them both.
And they should know Nazgul's in the bathroom as well, right? They should have this information. Well, if they didn't, they're about to find out. So that's one that they've got pinched in there. Did they catch the player at 90? I'm not sure. Now they spotted it. Now have both information of both players. They have the information on. Josh is low though, half health. And now he's just straight dead. Nazgul with the swing out from bathroom with no health at all. Still a minute for Juicy to make something work. And of course, Shade and Nazgul both low on health. One more nade after that one has been thrown as he pushes now into Jim, has the diffuser in hand.
So tough. I don't think he's playing off intel here. He crouches forward, but both players on the defense have positioned beautifully. The default camera spots him out. He couldn't shoot it. He didn't want to make sound, but it's too late now. They know exactly where Juicy's located, and Bliss can continue to sit back and wait. Juicy considers cooking a nade. He's going to commit to it, try and bounce it in towards where this player's located. Doesn't hit him with the nade, but shoots enough bullets in his direction, and now it's Nazgul left, but he gets another key pick in this round, and Bliss will close out the half.
What an explosive half for our first game of the night for the final play day of OCN. 3-3, all squared up. Bliss stopped the Knights' run, and boy, were they running. Prior to round 6, they had explosively won. Now, here's the pixel, as I mentioned before. Look at this. That is dirty from Hayward in logistics. Yeah. But Knights couldn't capitalize on it, Guz.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and Hayward is, I am almost 100% certain, the only player in this league that even thinks about running what's affectionately known as the Tron site. It's just absolutely putrid and no one wants to run it. But Hayward consistently does, and showing us why that site is actually quite effective. I still now he saw him, but yeah, gave his team a look in on that round, but obviously wasn't enough.
Well, where do we go from here? We've switched halves, of course. Now Bliss on the attack, Knights on the defense. How do we sort of summarize where this second half is going to take place here? I almost in a way, guys, feel like it's a bit of a reset, 0-0, and hard to sort of elect either team as favorites here to close out Clubhouse.
It goes to overtime, doesn't it? It's Oceanic Nationals, so it has to go to overtime. I thought that was the rules.
Could very well be. I mean, and look, honestly, at this rate, I would be more surprised if we don't go to overtime. It's been back and forth. Bliss with a good counterattack in that last round. Great play from Nazgul. You mentioned it off air in that mini break that we had, but the repositioning, the fact that he got both of the kills on that sliver of health as well. Full credit there for Bliss and for Nazgul. Moves up to 625 in terms of KDA. Knights on the defense here. What can Bliss do on the attack?
Hayed being brought to the board here from the Knights to try and deny the wall from getting opened, and Sage is down below to try and protect it from vertical play. Doesn't look like anyone from Bliss will be contesting that at the moment, and in fact Todd will of course use the Maverick to get the wall open nonetheless, or at least attempt to. He's having a couple of teething issues here as he tries to find where it's connected, but he does find it, doesn't take any damage, and that allows Repix now to open it up with the launcher. It's a pretty typical round of CCTV playing out here so far. 10 members still alive. There are pings down below though. They know that Dino's in this position.
Yeah, and this is it's pretty stock standard push right now.
Oh,
that
that's
ping
nice.
Nicely done from Bliss. Dino had no idea that tiny pixel of his foot was showing there to the camera. So advantage Bliss. They got garage open. They got CCTV wall open as well. It's just hanging out through con. Sage though gets one back onto Nazgul. Still full control of red, actually. Red stairs for Knights, and even having a bit of presence in garage is actually making things difficult for Bliss. There's 55 seconds left, and well, they haven't got control of rafters at all, Gus. And now they've just lost Sage. Well, actually, that's Shade getting Sage. Boy, that's the second time now those names have tripped me up a little bit.
It's Hayward still in rafters for the defense, trying to hold on here for the Knights. Still a decent amount of utility for the attack to work with. Flashbangs as well as nades are still in hand. So Hayward's position is not very safe at the moment. Todd will come around with the grenade. If he hits this, they might be able to get themselves into this round, but Hayward drops one. That Shade taken down. He's probing, trying to find another.
Got him.
The grenade forces him to reposition. He gets finished off, and the nade will do the job. Now it's Josh and Juicy to hold on. But yeah, that time's ticking down quick.
10 seconds left, 2 versus 3. Juicy and Josh, have they got the angles covered to really deny this plant from Bliss? It's Oda who now pushes in onto CCTV. He's going to stick this defuse. He's got no choice from below though. The C4 from Josh is going to just tear this round apart. Knights will take it out. And another close one right down to the wire. Replaced?
Had to have been. Really good work there from the Knights, and that is the risk that you run. And Team Bliss elected not to clear below. At least not in the late round, and it proved deadly. No time to reposition for the plant. They scrambled for the refrag, but they were unable to get it in the end, so the Knights will edge out. But, you know, this game's still incredibly close. There's no denying that, of course. And I'm keen to see what the basement's like. For me, this was really the fun site to watch for Bliss. They had a bit of a creative setup. That said, it was torn to shreds on the second occasion, but keen to see how that contrasts to the Knights' hold.
Yeah, I'd say torn to shreds was the right way to summarize that. Sage just dropping murder. I mean, hey, if you can't push in front of it, why not just drop down below and go behind it? It worked out pretty well. Bliss will be on the attack. I don't sense Knights will follow the same suit. I mean, Juicy is on the smoke, but highly doubt we'll see them adapt the same play style that we saw from Bliss, and they're not going to be doing that. So we will be able to at least, I guess, see the differences between how the smoke is utilized between the two teams. Bliss, you know, able to use those gas canisters a lot earlier into the round, say around that 30-second mark, for instance, start throwing them out rather than the, 15-second mark.
Yeah, a lot more traditional here from the Knights, reinforcing everything off, establishing that utility on site, but
Above?
the ace up the sleeve might be the roam. They've got Hayward and Sage above, keeping in mind there's no Mozzie or Mute picked here. So if Bliss are efficient on their drones, if they had drones set up in the prep phase and live drones now, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to hunt these players down, as Oda sees the footsies there of a defender running past. Josh, in the meantime, does shut down one of the entries though, and that could be a big pick in halting this push.
Yeah, and this is the difference between the two teams already that we're seeing. Again, that's actually going to be from Freezer again. The difference already is that we're seeing Knights just being way more aggressive, whereas the very opening round that we saw from Bliss on the defense, very much on site, play to that smoke and blocking off lobby. But the action has already taken place. We've already lost 2 players, still got 2 minutes to go. So stark contrast between the two play styles, the two teams. Right now, though, I'm not sure if I'd want to be taking Knights on in terms of these ones. I mean, especially if Sage is the one that's maybe running around. He's got an 11-2-4 record at the moment in this match. He is sharp tonight. And I'm not sure if there's anyone from Bliss that can go with him at the moment.
A lot of blue outlines downstairs, all 4 members retreating back to site, meaning there's no more roam to contend with here for Team Bliss. Instead, they'll be working the hatches. Shade inside of stock will be able to get that one open uncontested, and then of course, they'll be looking to open bar, which has been electrified with an electro claw, and then kitchen, which I presume has probably been electrified as well. The one in bar that drops in towards Moto might be a little bit trickier to clear. Of course, Todd does have nades though, and he can launch those from the main stairs or from above to clear that. Or of course, you can take the easier route of just opening up with the Mav torch, which is what they'll do. Meanwhile, inside of kitchen, Josh sitting below, he'll impact trick the first of the ex-Kairos pallets, but Otis has 10 in the bank to work with.
There's not much time though, 45 seconds left. Sense that the longer that this goes on in being unable to open this kitchen hatch, which again, the frag grenade is going to be successful, the harder it's going to be for Bliss. Their attack is just stalled dramatically now. So much so that Oda's just going to now push down central stairs, and well, can't do that. That's electrified, mate. Takes a peek down the hallway. 20 seconds left, and yeah, time of the essence here. And I think Knights are going to be able to win this round.
Ideally, if they want to open that wall, they need Todd's nades, but he's on the other side and he's already used them all now. So it's a 3-on-4 late second push here from Bliss. They pick up the diffuser as they head in through Moto, but Sage finds one, almost finds a second, but gets traded out. Still a slight chance that Bliss could bring this back, but as the timer ticks down, it's a 1 versus 3. Repix needs to go absolutely huge here, but he won't have the time to work with, and the Knights can hold on for another defensive win.
Look, I think you give Repix another 10 seconds, and maybe there's a chance he actually clutches that round out, but that's just not enough time in the bank. Knights look good, though, on the defense. Scars 5-3, just maybe starting to pull away from Bliss here. As this match goes on, they have looked better and better. And we've got to remember and sort of go back. Bliss had that 2-1 start. So since then, it's been 4-1 to Knights. That's a large discrepancy. We head to gym bedroom, though, and I gotta say it, but Bliss have to win this site now.
Big round for Bliss, as they are, of course, contending for that top position in the league. The Knights, meanwhile, hot on their trail, looking to get full points in this matchup to jump ahead. I like this from Hayward. He 6 picks onto the Frost in this round. ITO shotgun secondary can create rotates, and those Frost mats quite deadly on this side in particular due to the amount of vault ins. Forces the attackers, of course, to clear them or look down as they jump in, which is a vulnerability in itself. And it may well catch the attack off guard. Every now and again, Frost doesn't even get spotted, and it does pay dividends. That said, I think Todd might have been outside the breach there in Jacuzzi, so would have seen the Frost and called that out.
5 seconds left.
Yeah, I mean, the Frostmat's one thing. You also get the shield, you get the shotgun to open things up as well. So it's just a very versatile character. I know there's been a lot of discussion about why it gets played so much in APAC South, for instance, or even, I think even, pretty sure even APAC North sees a lot of Frost play too. So let's see how it plays out here for Knights on Gym Bedroom. Bliss must win this round. We'll just kind of reiterate the stakes here. We don't have a live standings update technically, but if Knights do win this out and get all 3 points, then they will jump above Bliss. Knights will go to 14 points. Bliss will be on 13 points. Doesn't necessarily guarantee Knights top spot, guys, but it will for the time being. It'll also mean Bliss, of course, cannot get top spot. So, I mean, it's a bit on the line, I guess, in a sense. Josh just missing that that disc. Needs to get some lessons from Digital.
Josh in a powerful position here with the MP5 and the 1.5 toe. Oda now will send out some flashes to burn those magnets and ADSs covering that position. Todd now likely will drop and nade it out, or Nazgul can send in an Ash charge. The latter will be successful and the shield's taken down. Dino, meanwhile, holding an aggressive angle, but I think now both players will take that as a cue to run away, get back to side, and hold on with their life.
As soon as that shield really goes down, you're going to see most teams fall back. I mean, actually, I'm going to even say this, guys. I've seen players literally run back even before the shield goes down. As soon as that wall is open, sometimes teams will elect to give up top red and cash. So I think job done for Knights. They really wasted quite a bit of time contesting that position. Knights also got a lot of utility out of Bliss. So job done. Knights probably the very slight advantage here on out, but things can change quickly. All it takes is a frag or two from these Gym Bedroom windows. Just catch someone from Knights slipping a little bit. That Frostmat's still up. Hayward just sitting inside a gym. Todd's got to be careful.
Pressure being applied from the windows, but the Knights quite content in sitting back and waiting. That said, Repix does find one from the window position. As we briefly see Sage down below, potentially going for a flank, but there's a fair chance he'll send it up main to support the rest of his team. As we stand, this round's still quite even. Keep in mind those Frostmats might still be on the board on the Voltins. In fact, there's one on Bedroom and one on Gym that will need to be contended with if Bliss are not careful.
Just saw a
Oh,
drone
one tap.
going down. Todd gets one back onto Dino. That keeps the advantage for Bliss. 20 seconds left. Knights on the verge of match point, which would secure 1 point. Todd, nice flick onto Sajon. Keeps the advantage for Bliss. Oda can stick this plant. There's a swing. That's Josh. He gets eliminated at waist height, and Bliss will get the must-needed round 5-4.
Kind words from Nazgul there in the chat, complimenting Juicy on his shot. Sounded like it was a clean one tap with the pistol. Good on him for hitting his shot. That said, Bliss do still take the round. They keep themselves alive in regulation. Let's have a quick look at the flick from Todd. Ooh, that's sharp. Not bad. And then a good hold on during the plant there from Bliss. All angles covered.
You know what I noticed in that round in particular, Gus, more than anything was the amount of kills we got. Congrats to our obs.
Yeah, how many did we get?
I actually didn't count, but I felt like we got the majority of them.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
It's
I think that observer last night was a little bit better. What was his name again?
Oh, Gus, it's
that was his name. Yeah, that was the one.
Gus, yeah, that was his name. Yeah, the guy who alt tabbed.
Yeah. Never gonna live that one down. Who took
Bliss
the
timeout?
Bliss.
Okay. That's what I'm trying to say, but you won't stop talking.
Sorry, it's my job.
Well, Bliss won the round, and then they take the timeout.
Which is interesting. I think last night, right, it was Ruffle that took the tack timeout after they won a round, and I think they cited ultimately the reason for that being that they just felt that the round prior wasn't as clean as it should have been, and they wanted to tidy a couple of things up. So it could be a similar story here for Bliss, who, despite winning that round and still well and truly in this match, aren't completely happy with everything that's going on inside of the server. That could be anything ranging from comms to execution of strategy. The list is very exhaustive. So maybe Bliss will tighten up now off the back of that quick little break, and they'll look rejuvenated as they try and close out regulation.
They've got no choice. I mean, I don't want to start going into the numbers game, because once we go into the numbers game, especially maths on stream, guys, that's when we go down a very bad hole. But if Knights win this round, right, and this is where it's really weird, as Sage in stock just seeing if he can catch someone early on in this round. Nice pick up here from our observer. But if Knights win this, of course, they secure 1 point, right? What that means is if Knights win this round, Blizz can no longer get all 3 points. It's just not possible, which opens up the door that top spot will no longer be secured if Bliss win. Even if they get 2 points, there's a chance I think that Order can actually maybe take top spot. There's a whole bunch of other things that come into it. So very, very important that Bliss can come back and win in regular time. Otherwise, well, maybe 1 or even 2 spot won't be secured.
Shade, meanwhile, in this round, establishing a drone towards Dino inside of Bar to hold that rotation. Dino hears the drone and might try and find it, and does. Good work from him, considering it doesn't feel like it was that long ago he got caught off guard by well-placed drone, and he may well again here. In fact, Nazgul has one locked on his location. He can ping that out for a teammate and couldn't get a kill off the back of it, but Dino does see it as he rotates up the main stairs, and no one there from Bliss to cut him off, as of course they're preoccupied opening garage on the main wall, which they've done so. Expect the pressure now to be applied to Hayward holding rafters.
I'm not sure if Dino's playing like a different role or something tonight, but 327 has been very, very quiet night from him, considering he's had a very good season. And I know yourself at many times have pointed out him fragging and being able to get kills on the board with relative ease, but tonight that has not been the case. Fortunately, Sage has taken over those duties. Oh, Todd just caught unaware. You know there's a player up in rafters, but hadn't realized that Hayward had already made a move. Hayward, though, is going to be down as well. I mean, that's an even trade.
Hayward won't be finished off here, at least not yet, but equally no one from the Knights will be able to cross that line of sight and revive him. So effectively, this is a 4 versus 5 in favor of Bliss. Oda makes his way up rafters, finishes off the kill, and can now start to instruct the team to think about the execute. This is a good time management. Is above board here for the attack. It's going to come down to that plant now. Will the Knights be able to shut this down? They have 2 C4s to work with.
Yeah, good point. I was going to bring that one up. Still 2 C4s. Josh and Sage, 1 at peace. Josh close by, just singing cash, can of course flick one over pretty quickly, which apparently is what happened last time. Shade just catching a bit of that smoke, gets him to half health, has to be careful. Has the diffuser in hand, makes the run across into the electrified wall, takes a bit of unnecessary damage, going for the plant, and Juicy's going to be able to deny this one pretty comfortably, even with the player pushing up red stairs. Bliss just capitulate in the end. Knights will secure a match point.
Wow, that looked really bad there on the side of Bliss as they tried to get that plant down. The unorthodox position didn't quite work out. That said, in that scenario, to be fair, they didn't have a very viable solution. The Knights still had a smoke in the pocket, which would have been used to burn more time. C4s are still on the board. They couldn't really run to the clont wall protected either because they hadn't cleared main stairs. So sure, the time management was great, but the util management from the Knights simply was better in the end, and they shut down that attack, secure at least 1 point, and they positioned themselves really nicely now to close things out.
I should mention that if Bliss actually do come back and get the 2 points with an overtime win, it would actually be enough to still secure top spot, as they have the tiebreaker against Order, which is the only team that would be able to then overtake Bliss. So there's a bit of a fun fact. It's actually not over yet for Bliss, but it could very well be soon if they can't force the OT. They got 2 rounds to do so. Knights with match point. If Knights win this, they will be temporarily in first place. But of course, that can change with the other results tonight.
Basement being reattempted here by the Knights, and it was successful for them in round number 8. So Bliss will need to switch things up and be cleaner on this occasion. Keep in mind, last time, the Knights, they dedicated to a soft roam. Bliss did an okay job in shutting it down. The Knights did fall back quite early, not under a whole lot of pressure, but they had to set up on site to hold out, which was really nice to see.
I like the vigil here, and I like the aggressive nature from Knights. You're up 6-4, you got nothing to lose. You're in Church Arsenal, which is pretty decent. If you can find one kill somewhere on the map with the vigil or with anyone else, really, whoever else is maybe roaming around with Josh, you get that 5-on-4 advantage. Yeah, Hayward's sitting up in rafters. So if either of these two can find a kill, that's probably almost round done for Bliss. If they go in with at a numerical disadvantage towards the very end of this round. Of course, on the flip side, though, if Bliss can catch Hayward or Josh, take the advantage going in. Hayward's going to give up early, drop down oil pit, put down that goo mine and retreat. No, not too surprising. Josh still on the second floor though. Starts to make his way down, and he's got Dino up there as well on the Malusi. So Knight's still committing to this roam game.
Droning here will be of critical importance for Bliss. Again, keep in mind, they banned out the mute. That is to directly counter this exact setup we are seeing here from the Knights, where they're trying to deny intel and roam above. Dino collects yet another drone here from the attack. Only 4 left.
Wow.
4 are only available, but Todd, he critically cuts off a player on the main stairs. That was Josh on the vigil, leaving only Dino above. He's going to be forced into the swing as he gets lit up from behind, and he doesn't win the fight. A great pinch from Bliss will give them the advantage.
Unfortunately for Knights, the aggression just does not pay off. Now they're down 2 players with a minute and a half remaining. They lose both their top roamers. Of course, we saw Hayward earlier, who was in Garage. He fell back through oil pit, so he's now on site. Nazgul had the prime opportunity to get that head, but some Xenox reaction time there. No, that's not a good thing.
No. The boomer reaction's out in full force. Oh, well. Bliss, fortunately, though, they still hold that advantage as Shade works dirt juicy.
Oh, he's not going to swing out.
He could get aggressive swing to the left and find the back of the head of Shade. It might be a little bit too late. No, but he is holding this position. If a player does go to dirt, they'll be caught unaware.
Yeah, you'd almost bank Juicy to find the kill here.
Oh, here we go.
Surely Oda dies. Oda's definitely dead. And at the exact same time, Elsa on the map, Todd goes down. Goodbye to that 5-on-3 advantage. There's only 30 seconds left as well. Credit to Knights, credit to the positioning of Juicy. Nazgul now makes his way over. Shade on the thermite has the diffuser. Looks like he's maybe going to have to drop down that kitchen hatch from what I can see in terms of the outline. 15 seconds left. Repix is down inside of blue. It's Hayward against Shade. It's match point. Can Bliss hold on here? It seems like the match is against them. Repix can't find the kill. 4 seconds left. Nazgul's down. There's no diffuser in hand for Repix. No time to get the kills. Knights will win. And they take top spot, even if it is just for the moment. They deny Bliss the perfect start to the season as well. That's their first loss of the season for Bliss. Knights 7-4 winners.
That's the Knights we love to see. A confident 7-4 victory in the end. They set themselves up to finish near the top of the standings, which will prove very fruitful come the playoffs gauntlet bracket. And yeah, that was just a solid display of Siege. I really enjoyed that last round in particular for me, was the fact that they were at the disadvantage, they brought it back, and they denied so much intel. At the 3v3 at the end, Bliss had 1 drone. Now, I'm not sure if that was in pocket or on the map, but either way, 1 drone for an execute of that sort of scale is just not going to end well, which it didn't. And Hayward was just given the license to pop off.
Well, can you believe it, guys? After the start that we saw from Knights in terms of the season, Playdays 1, Playdate 2, they're in top spot now. After completing all 7 of their matches, they currently occupy first place. They, of course, are 1 point above Bliss. Now, I mean, what does that say about them really going into playoffs? They've really hit form at the right time.
Well, yeah, that's exactly the thing. You want to be hitting that form right at the end of the season. It's all good and well to make the top 5, but we've seen time and time again with other teams in the region. They do all right during the season, then they make playoffs and they just flop. So there's no point finding your form too early, and maybe the Knights have timed it right.
Maybe they have, and for Bliss, maybe the timing slightly off, but in fairness, they played a very solid Knights roster tonight. Really good outfit. For the most part, Bliss kept it pretty close. You know, they got it back to that 5-4 sort of scoreline. I felt like the map suited Knights more. Knights just looked a little bit more clinical. Knights also probably looked to take a bit more aggression as well to the game. We saw it multiple times. The Sage drop down Moto Hatch, for instance. The run through on the Maverick through the charge on CCTV wall. Just two of the notable pushes that we saw in terms of those fast executions from Knights on their attack, and obviously on the defense. Happy to play a bit of the roam game too. So a very deserved 7-4 scoreline. Bliss just couldn't quite cut it with the big boys.
Yeah, and looking at the stats, often it is easy to get sucked in by the big numbers up the top and just highlight the fraggers, but I do want to talk about Sage. As I said a little bit during the match, he's been fulfilling this entry role really, really well, and he's been quite consistent throughout the season. Tonight, of course, he went +2 on the entry. 13 picks, 92% of those headshots, so maybe 1 or 2 at most that were not. That is very, very sharp and did facilitate the early round advantage for the Knights.
The thing that boggles me more than anything is this cost percentage stat. 91% for Dino, despite going 5-8. I don't know which one to believe. I don't know which one I should be looking at and say, you know, maybe Dino had a poor game. He went 5-8, less impactful. Didn't really see many plays from him. But Cost says he was amazing.
Yeah. I don't know. Dino's had a bit of a weird week. He started off the season really, really well, but it's felt like this week, both in Oceanic and even late last week in APAC South, he's just slowed down a little bit. So that's all right. He'll bounce back. I'm sure he'll find that form in playoffs when it really matters.
Well, I don't think he's out of form necessarily. I think it's fine to have an off night, whether it's one or even two off nights.
As long as you win and you're not just going
exactly.
0-15. Like, as long as you're not doing a manic, you're doing all right. So.
And I think also happy to sit back and maybe just let Sage have the spotlight tonight. Let's go to our interview, though. It is going to be juicy from Knights. Firstly, I do want to say, mate, congratulations on the win, but also on being able to sort of, I don't want to say save your season, but of course you guys started slow to be able to finish off strongly going into playoffs. You guys look like your old self.
Yeah, getting back to it, it was one of those things I always talk about. That it's a balancing act of all the play days we have this season, and like the more weeks we get into it, the more we get more comfortable with having this many days that we got to play. So it's just getting used to it and rolling with the punches as is.
Yeah, I'd be interested for you to talk maybe a little bit more about how this kind of crazy week or two has gone for the team. What does your preparation actually look like? I know Specca, for example, last night said you don't really have the time to focus in on other teams specifically. So for you guys, has it been more internal reviewing and making sure that everything's going well, at least on your side?
Of course, it's so hard to prepare for 4 different teams in a week. You prioritize what are your most, I suppose, your hardest games are, and you do your prep for that if you have time. But in between scrimming or trying to scrim at least, the lack of at the moment. But it's just internal review. You look at what you're doing. You can only play your best game at the moment. So I think dealing with that the best you can is how you're gonna get ahead in this.
I've seen a comment behind the scenes from our lovely observer tonight, which is of course Dev Mata. He has he's brought up the fact that apparently he's been told Sage is the IGL, and if he is the IGL, how you feel that works as the fact that he's the sort of entry fragger on the team.
When we brought Sage in, he obviously just learning how we play the game and that, and then over time we knew that his ideas of the game are quite good. He has a really good understanding of it, so wanted to see how that would work with us. And he's honestly, roles are one thing we all have. There's no, obviously he does call the main pushes of that, but we all chip in, so it's not like him just calling everything that we're doing, and he can obviously focus on his game, and we all chip in where we need. And so but he does an amazing job for us, and without him we'd be a bit lost sometimes. So yeah, it's good.
Cool. I guess my final question will be, let's start talking about the weekend. We don't know exactly where you'll finish. It could of course be first, depending on the order matchup later tonight, but are there any teams, if any, that you're seeing maybe as a threat in the playoffs? I guess if so, why do you see that team as a threat? And if you guys think you'll take it all, why is that the case?
Yeah, obviously we're confident in every game that we go into. I don't think any team really is a threat. Obviously we have our games that look a bit harder than that, but that's just, some teams you either struggle more against or you can stomp, basically. But I don't think there's any team that you're going to stand out. Like, we just have to roll with it, with the way that it's going to work with the Gauntlet final. You don't know who you're really going to end up versing, and the way this season's gone, it could be anyone. Like, it could be Bliss, it could be Order. I think Bliss or Order is probably the two that they're looking at probably going to be coming into the finals against. So yeah, I don't know, you just kind of roll with the punches, as I keep saying. It's so hectic at the moment, so we just got to take it one step at a time and see where it leads us.
It's that kind of season, isn't it, where I think the best teams need to be versatile and, as you said, roll with the punches. Any final shout outs, of course, to really close off the regular season from you guys?
As always, it's thanks to all you guys, the cast, just the broadcast team, to our manager Kata, coach Picky, and analyst Sketchy. Without them, things wouldn't be possible, and to all the fans that support us each week. Without them, it wouldn't be as fulfilling coming out here and doing what we do. So yeah, just thanks to everyone.
Best of luck in the playoffs, mate, and also best of luck in APAC South tomorrow onwards.
Lovely, thank you.
So Knights reclaim top spot, I think, for the first time this season. But of course, reclaim it almost from last season, guys. It's taken them just a bit longer than we thought it would take them. But alas, they're there. We'll of course later on in the night whether or not they will finish there, though that remains to be seen. But for the most part, going into the playoffs, we would have to favor them as maybe the best team again in the region based on the current form.
But I think the thing that really stood out to me in that interview is the fact that even Juicy himself would admit that any team could perform well in the playoffs. You have the best 2 days of your life in Siege, and you could go from 5th to 1st. Who knows? Bit of a safe answer from him in terms of seeing Order and Bliss as the biggest threats, because that's where they are in the standings at the moment. But yeah, I don't know. If the Knights do somehow manage to finish first and the Order result goes their way, I'd probably have to agree with you. They'd be in a great position to take it out.
Yeah, maybe that matchup later on tonight, the Order Rafflecopter one, might very well decide who should be regarded as the best going into the playoffs. Regardless, the rest of the night is still to come, and it just gets more interesting from here. Coming up after the break, it's do or die for Wildcard and Chiefs.
Living started in 2013 after we lost a very good man in the name of Dwayne Lally to a mental illness. They say death by suicide affects 115 people, but you can't even put a number on it. The ripple effect that the loss of one life had on thousands of people far outweighed what I've ever experienced in my entire life.
I'd received a call saying he'd gone missing. I was driving around the whole of the Gold Coast looking for him. I had no idea where to find him.
Dwayne was an avid boxing man. very talented. Life of the party, very charismatic, extremely passionate.
Loving, loyal, he's very cheeky.
Mental illness is costing many people their lives every single day. While I'm sitting here speaking, people are taking their life, and it's because there's people suffering in silence.
1 in 5 people suffer from some form of mental illness, and suicide is the leading cause of death between the ages of 15 and 44.
You can look for things like not getting out of bed of a morning, being socially disconnected, loss of appetite, change in mood, change in behaviour, lack of self-esteem.
Dwayne suffered from depression and bipolar for a number of years, and the stigma kept him quiet. So we wanted to turn that negative into a positive, and if the shoe was on the other foot, I'm sure Dwayne would have done the same. We're just doing what he would have done.
Hi, my name's Dan Price. I don't know where I'd be if I didn't connect with Livin, but I certainly wouldn't be as well as I am today. I was suicidal and tried to take my life on the 4th of December 2014. I was very lucky to survive. I didn't want people to know that I was struggling because of the stigmas around mental illness.
We noticed that there were plenty of great service providers in this country, but all too common people weren't seeking help because of this stigma. So we wanted to bridge that gap.
As males, we're extremely tough. We want to be the tough people, the ones that have all the answers, the ones that don't want to admit our vulnerabilities and our weaknesses.
You might not have the answers, but if you can offer support and just listen to them, that could be what they need in that moment of time.
I was an alpha male and a popular guy, and I didn't want people to think I was weak, and that's why I love the message that Livin presents, which is it ain't weak to speak.
We go all around the country, businesses, sporting clubs, teaching people that it ain't weak to speak. What we're really doing is educating them in how to speak, where to speak, and then we're educating people on how to listen and how to look for these warning signs, because without one, you can't really have the other. It's all about being honest and open. If something's off, just ask them.
That's what Livin's all about, taking that stigma away and giving people hope, help, connection, and giving them the confidence to speak up and seek the help when they need it and when they deserve it.
We believe with education comes understanding, with understanding comes acceptance, and with acceptance comes hope.
I want to change the way the world understands, perceives and interprets mental health. Let's change the dynamics in which this is looked at. For far too long it's been a stigma. We're going to make this a dinner table conversation, the same way that we'd put our hand up and run for help if we had a broken leg.
Don't be afraid to have those, hard-hitting, confronting conversations, because it could save a life.
I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life, and Livin has been instrumental in changing my life for the better.
If in doubt, reach out, because there's a lot of people out there that want to help and support you making that change to get back on track to start living again.
One game in the books already here for Playday 7, the final Playday for OCN Stage 1 for 2021. But this is the big one, guys. It's Chiefs versus Wildcard, and it's going to now determine not only playoff ramifications for these two teams, but the teams as well below them on the standings.
Oh yeah, this is going to be a bit of a banger, and the fact that it's a difficult to predict game as well only amplifies the tension. Both of these teams not in the greatest form this stage.
Well, to a degree. Wildcard, of course, have got their reason. Chiefs started really, really well. They even broke the new oil curse. I think that might have been in APAC South, though. For the most part, I still think Chiefs may be coming into this as slight favorites, but we know old Wildcard could turn around and have a big game at any moment. Let's go and look at the Chiefs, though. Of course, their season is not secure, guys. They need to win this game. Well, kind of. Let's have a little bit of a talk through. Here's how simple it is. A regular win secures playoffs. An overtime win secures playoffs. And guess what? Even an overtime loss secures playoffs. If they do lose, well, then there's some fancy stuff that will go on, which we'll get to that if it happens. But for the most part, these guys, of course, the former Elevate roster, Surely they can't miss it from here, right, guys? Surely.
Ooh, 6 rounds, I guess, then is the target. They've just got to at least at minimum reach that and secure overtime. Easier said than done, especially in high pressure scenarios. And I bring this up every time. Raven, if he's watching, is going to absolutely hate me for it. But this roster, way back in Pro League Season 10, it was the final play day of the regular season, and they just missed out on making that LAN final back then in the old format. So there is a small sense of deja vu that's overcoming me at the moment, that maybe they'll fall at the final hurdle again, but surely they do it. I mean, this roster's just too good, aren't they?
It requires a lot to go wrong. Like, I mean, a lot to go wrong, right? They've got the highest chance out of the 4 teams that, of course, are still in contention to actually go through. If they lose, they can actually still make playoffs. Crazy. Let's go and look at their opponents, who, on the flip side of Chiefs, well, they actually have the least amount of chances out of all of the other teams, kind of. They lose, they miss playoffs. If they get an overtime loss, they also miss playoffs. So all that means is they've got to get an OT win or a regular win. Now, an OT win means it's pretty unlikely that they will make playoffs, as they will need a lot more to go their way. But a regular win doesn't even secure them playoffs, guys. Can you believe it? That's right. Even if wildcard win this, get all 3 points, they still need to require other results to go their way. It shows more than anything how inconsistent they've been this season. They've had their downs, they had a few ups in the midpoint of the season, and then a few more downs towards play day 7.
I guess there's no real worse feeling normally when an end result is out of your hands, but sometimes we see teams play better when they're not under as much pressure, and you could argue maybe weekly that there's not as much pressure here for wildcard necessarily to perform amazingly, just because their chances are so slim of actually making it through. They'll just be heading into this one saying, boys, we'll give it our best shot, we'll see what happens, and maybe them playing a bit freer with less pressure might see a better result.
I've already done a bit of maths already. I've already done a few of the calculations, but there's one more stat which I do want to bring up now, which will hold more bearing in another matchup tonight. It's actually Rhythm. This is a strange one, guys, but Rhythm would be cheering on Wildcard. I know it's weird, but they actually want Wildcard to get all 3 points. The reason being, Rhythm actually have the tiebreaker against both Wildcard and Chiefs. So if Wildcard actually win this, that means Rhythm can actually knock out Chiefs, and in a way can even knock out Wildcard. So right now, Rhythm have got their Wildcard banners on and hoping it makes things easier for them. Let's see where we are going to be heading for this match, which holds so much at stake. No surprises here. We're this close to Chalet, but we get Clubhouse, which we did allude to in the pre-match tonight, guys. We kind of expect Clubhouse and maybe even Oregon a bit tonight.
Yeah, I'm just going to bring up the results between these two and work out exactly what we're playing with. So in fact, the last 2 times that these teams have played one another was on Clubhouse. Most recently, it was in APAC South League. It was a 7-4 victory to the Chiefs. And then before that was the Wrecked Gauntlet. It was a 7-2 victory to the Chiefs. And I vividly remember that match being pretty dominant in favor of Chiefs. Keep in mind, though, a bit of an iffy result on that one, given the nature of the tournament. But there is a track record here for the Chiefs to take this in regulation.
I think, as you said before, though, which wild card shows up tonight, right? Are we going to get the wild card that showed a bit of resurgence midway through the season, or are we going to get the wild card that's been struggling, obviously missing Diesel and other issues that have plagued them so far? Going over to Clubhouse, maybe they'll be happy here. I'm not sure. We obviously both actually tipped Chiefs, so we're not going with the favorable upset, because that's what it would be if Wildcard were to win this. An upset. Chiefs are probably the better team right now. You would kind of hope so, considering Wildcard circumstances. And for Chiefs, you know, they've got to be, they're playing for something here, right? They'd lose this and there's a chance they don't make playoffs, and that would be horrible, especially under their new organization. Got to get something from this game, whether it's an OT loss, an OT win, or a win. Either of those 3 scenarios will secure them the playoffs. So less pressure, but they've still got to get the job done as we head into our second match of the day, for the final play day of the seasons. It's sure to be a banger. Chiefs, wildcards, playoff ramifications, all out on the line as we head to Clubhouse. It's a must win for wildcard. They've got to get all 3 points. Simple, really. If they get 2 points, they might still have a chance, but then we're getting into some funky territory. Let's go look at the bans.
Looking back at when these teams most recently played, it was pretty typical bans for the most part. That said, the Chiefs did do some experimental stuff in Wrecked GN, but We won't worry about that too much. Thatcher taken off the board here by the Chiefs. That's to be expected, and they'll likely follow that up with a Malusi ban if the trend continues. Wildcard, what will they respond with? Will it be something a little bit more aggressive? Not really. It is one of the hard breaches. Ace, of course, quite proficient on this map and was banned in the last matchup. Now, we might see Wildcard take the mute off the board. They did that last time they versed the Chiefs, and it is increasing in popularity here on Clubhouse, but no, it'll instead be the Kaid, and it is one less form of wall denial that the attack will need to deal with.
Well, in the last matchup we saw of Clubhouse, we saw the Ace band, we saw the Thatcher band, we saw the mute band. Are we going to finish with the mute? No, it's actually going to be Goyo. So Mirror's actually on the board here as well. That gets through, which in the prior matchup, Knight's Bliss, that was banned, as it usually kind of, well, sometimes is. Sometimes we see the mirror used, sometimes it gets through and then doesn't even get used. So it'd be interesting to see how that one plays out here, but no mute ban, Kaid off the board, Goyo off the board. And we head to Church Arsenal first up. Chiefs on the defense, Wildcard on the attack. And that's the way I like it, guys. I think I do want to see Wildcard on the attack first. If they can have a good attacking half, it might just favor them then going on to the defense here in Clubhouse.
Wildcard attacks can be a little bit funky is probably the best way to describe it. They love to play into the last second execute meta where they establish their foothold and then go for the take, trade things out. That said, sometimes that can make them look a little bit slow, and it's probably safe to say that their synergy at the moment is not as great as it once was and does make it a little bit more difficult to pull off these plays. Now, I did hear a little man in the background say Rome. I think that might have been you, Xenox. Yeah,
I hope so.
That's probably what we're going to see here. Worthy bringing the castle to the board, reinforcements invested above, and probably most importantly, the mute. Made it through the ban phase and will facilitate the roam. They can deny walls, they can deny intel, and that makes it tricky for Wildcard.
We just saw the Snap Fitness community vote pop up on your screens, 58% to 42% in favor of the Chiefs. I would have probably said about 60-40, guys, but hey, you know, we're not going to squabble over 1 or 2 percentage points here or there. Chiefs the favorites. That's the way we've sort of labeled this matchup and the way it should play out. And of course, as I mentioned before, so many ways, even just 1 point gained and Chiefs will secure playoffs. So out of all of the 4 teams vying for playoffs, they've got the best chance here. Defeat Wildcard, move on to the playoffs in form as well. And not only that, but if they do actually get all 3 points, they have an opportunity, of course, move further up the standings as well. So a lot on the line here for both teams. We'll see, though, if Wildcard are happy to stand up to the challenge, or maybe they got eyes on stage 2.
Maybe. That's a whole nother storyline in itself on who, if anyone, Wildcard pick up for stage 2, but I guess that's a discussion for later, or maybe even another day if Wildcard do end up making it through to the playoffs. Honing in on this round, though, the Chiefs still dedicating to the roam. Good vert here from God Legion. That's watching in towards Kitchen, but he falls off, expecting maybe a push from CCTV. The position, though, is retaken by Fisho. So far, Wildcard are not really playing into this at all. They've got a kitchen hatch open, potentially a couple of the others as well. So maybe they can avoid the roam.
Minute and a half into the round. Every round is just going to feel so vital. They all just stack up at the end of the day. The Chiefs' roam, though, is this going to prove to be difficult for Wildcard. If they can win a lot of these shots, win a lot of these fights. Silex just pushing through dirt by himself. I'm not sure exactly what's going on here, but it's not looking good for Wildcard, as I say that. Vinny's been able to find 2 on site here in Arsenal. Oh, just saw the gun and now gets God Legion. He's got 3 for the round. 2 versus 1 leaves it all up to Imran on the Sophia. Also on site. Up against Worthy and Fisher Guy, although Imran has been spotted out. Has no idea where from either. Fisher Guy above in Kitchen. Imran going for the plant.
Needs to stick it. It'll be a long 7 seconds. He hears the hatch drop. Surely Fisher, can he hit the shot? He does. Gets the down.
He doesn't know.
Of course, can no longer self-revive. Fisho doesn't know because there's no points enabled in comp play, but I'm sure they'll find out soon enough. They confirm the kill. And Fisho and counter defuse the bomb.
Well, do you want to take us through that game, guys? Because I got absolutely no idea. It seems like Wildcard just sort of circumnavigated their way around the Chiefs' roam as that man's about to launch off into space. Got past the roam, got onto site, but got met by, I think it was Vast. Silex ended up slow pushing through dirt, I think, and just ended up dying first more than anything. And well, Wildcard's attack was subdued pretty easily.
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange round. I guess the roam did come back to bite Wildcard, at least at the very end of the round when they started to get a foothold off the back of Vinny popping off. They had that vert above, and it made it very, very difficult for Emerin to get into that one. But it was a good round there from the Chiefs. Again, as you said during that round, every single round, in fact, in this match, ultra, ultra critical. Probably more so for Wildcard because they want to close it out in regulation, but it's still very important for the Chiefs as well.
Good start for the Chiefs and probably good to get off the board with a win. Not allowing Wildcard to even get a look in early on is definitely going to be the play for them. In saying that though, you know, we saw in the last matchup, Bliss got off to a 2-1 start. It was their defense in saying that. And then we saw, of course, Knights bring it back from there. I think they went on to win the next 4 rounds out of the next 5. So things can turn pretty quickly if you're not careful. Got to take each round. You got to roll with the punches, as Juicy said. Take each round as it comes. Wildcard got to make sure that they don't let their mental drop at any point. If things start to get out of hand, there's a really high likelihood maybe you start 2-0 or even 3-0, but you can bring it back. You can always bring it back.
Seen a lot of comebacks in OCN, particularly on teams starting out on the attack. They'll go down 4-2 as you would expect on a lot of maps, and then they bring it back. Could be the same case here, but still very early days. I'm keeping an eye out on players like Pat, for example. He's been a little bit quiet in the last couple of weeks, finding it tricky to get frags onto the board. So hopefully he can have a big one. Emorin has found some consistency as of recent and can be a pivotal player for Wildcard as well, so he'll be one to watch. Vinny as well has already popped off. 3-1. He's been the standout player for Wildcard so far this season, playing the hard breach nonetheless here on Clubhouse, but once he gets those charges off, he can pop off. 5.56 is no slouch.
And I think it's been proven that, you know, as you said, Vinny's had a good season, but he needs others to stand up alongside him. He needs the likes of Gio, Pat, Emerin. They've all got to carry the load. I mean, Silex has been steadily improving and has become a vital part of the team beyond just finding kills, but being able to, of course, be the coaching game, as you will. But they need their fraggers firing. And usually Wildcard are at their best when it's Gio that's fragging out and having a big game. Vast just sitting in logistics, obviously has to be mindful of that hatch. Didn't really see any presence from Wildcard around there, though. A lot of the pressure coming now from the CCTV wall having been opened. But the minute left in the round, and there's still a lot that Wildcard needs to accomplish.
Good drone here from Vinny inside of Lounge. Can cut off any potential plays downstairs. Oh, Legion's off site. What's his play here? It looks like he's thinking about going down below. Might just hold that position for now. Of course, on the Jaeger, no Nitro Cell in hand, so it won't be a massive threat for Plantanal, but can pop off when required. Silex, as always, likely will be the player to watch here late round. A dedicated planter for Wildcard at the moment, as Worthy does cut off Vinny downstairs. That's not a great start, and that timer, it is ticking down big time. They still don't have control of Logi with 15 seconds left.
Flash just trying to get Vast out of that office, and yeah, look, there's just not enough time. The drop down from Gio, though, is successful. Pat there as well, but it's the time that's against them. Silence has the diffuser on that Maverick, and what a double C4 from Worthy. Will catch pretty much at least 2 very important players, and well, the round's over from that C4 onwards. Chiefs off to a flying start here on Clubhouse. 2-zip to get us off.
An even more convincing round here for the Chiefs than the last. Not ideal if you're a wild card fan or a rhythm fan, in fact, as you prefaced earlier. Big ramifications in terms of the standings on this one. And again, this has been a trend we've seen from wild card in stage 1. And again, we know circumstances for them really, really challenging at the moment, but their time management, it's just not great. In a situation like that, in times gone by, with 15 seconds to go, it wouldn't have felt like the end of the world, but Wildcard would have had better control and been better established for the execute. In that scenario, they were still trying to push Logi and just got absolutely torn to shreds. So they did a great job of clearing cache on the other side of the map, but it really doesn't count for a whole lot if you're unable to get in towards the site. So that is something they'll need to work on.
You also have to give credit to Chiefs as well for the way that they were able to hold out defensively. Although, how much of it, it's the old adage, how much of it is Chiefs' defensive impact versus Wildcard just being too slow to approach the site? You could sit there for days, you could watch over that round over and over again, and you could probably still not make up your mind as to which one had more impact. We're headed to the third round, though. Not the best early signs for Wildcard, but as we head to CCTV and Cash, there's still plenty of time for them to turn things around. And one thing I know about Siege more than anything in this region, and just the APAC region in general, is you're never out of it. I mean, we saw that with that 6-0 comeback in APAC South, the 7th Hertford night. Ever since then, guys, anything's possible.
Salix on the Maverick. I think he's trying to suss out if there was a mute jammer on the wall. Of course, you do get the little indicator, I believe, still on Pro League settings. Definitely hear it through the wall if it is there. It's placed on the right-hand side of Vinny. The wall will get blown open. Oh, they're going to go for a rush. Wildcard, they're going deep. They get shut down on the initial cross. The Salix does find one. Leaves it in effectively a 2 versus 3. Fast eventually is confirmed. Emo Ruin could get cut off from behind and is from God Legion. He finds 2. That's huge. And now it's Salix left in the 1 versus 1. Forced to send it deep. God Legion holding strong. Salix has the pistol out. Surely he can't win this, and he doesn't. It's huge from God Legion, and the Chiefs will get the round.
I don't even think I said a word that entire round because it was over so quickly, but talk about fast executes so far tonight. We saw it in the Knights Bliss matchup. And both times we actually saw it from Knights' perspective with their fast execution. They were successful both times against Bliss. This time, though, from Wildcard, the big one was I felt like the entry shot to the player that was top red stairs didn't get that kill initially. It all happened so fast I didn't actually catch names, but from that point onwards, then Wildcard were just fighting to have an advantage. And as you said, Gold Legion coming from Con gets 2. That basically secures the round for Chiefs, and they're up 3-0 here, and their playoff lifeline is looking quite secured as long as they can keep this up for the remainder of this match. Wildcard, on the other hand, their playoff lifeline is looking in tatters.
It's an unfortunate position that Wildcard really find themselves in now. They've tried 2 calculated slow executes. They've also attempted the rush. Neither has worked out. The last round super duper close, but God Legion, just a menace. Could not be shut down by Wildcard, and wreaks havoc to keep his team with a clear advantage. I wonder at what point we start to feel like this match is over. I'm not quite at that point, but it is starting to feel like it's trending that way, especially with how much Wildcard.
Don't go too early, guys. I know a certain Dev Mana who went early last week. I think he went early at 1-0. It was that early. Look, 3-0 is a bit different. I'll give you that one, but still plenty of time for Wildcard to turn things around. If they can get at least 2 rounds here to close out the half, I still value their defense on Clubhouse, but they need to get rounds here on the attack. They can't allow this to get out of hand. A 5-1 half, even a 4-2 is not great, but it's something. Is there some bite left in them, though? God Legion on site with the Vigil. Of course, a lot harder to drone him out since you can't, as long as his ability is active. He's also 4-1 at the moment, and a lot of the KDAs are looking pretty healthy for the side of Chiefs. Worthy with a 4-2-0. Pat yet to get on the board, just a donut so far from the first 3 rounds. It's so one-sided from Chiefs. They are playing phenomenally, and that's the other part of it as well. Besides, of course, you know, getting into the playoffs, you want to take form into the playoffs as well, and that's something Chiefs can do here with a solid win.
God Legion has been big on this map so far, and I believe he's the only player still left above. No, so him and Fisher Guy have fallen off momentarily towards CCTV, but they still pose a threat on this roam clear, and time is of the essence. Fisher still contesting players inside of Con, can fall back to Secret. The player at the main door doesn't cut him off. God Legion as well can rotate down. This has been such a great roam from the Chiefs. Wildcard don't find any picks, and they've burnt 2 minutes.
The only way that could have been better is if Chiefs had have actually got a pick themselves and made it a 5-on-4 with 50 seconds left and no control. Nothing opened up towards site. This has been perfect from the Chiefs. There's a bit of work in kitchen as that hatch does get opened, but there's only 45 seconds left. There's not a lot of work elsewhere that has been done. You know, Mute Gem is still up on site, makes it hard to drone onto site. At this point, I'm thinking you might need someone to drop Moto Hatch. Really just sort of have diverse locations where you're dropping down onto site, open up different sight lines, and make it very difficult for Chiefs to be able to get quick frags. If you have 3 people dropping kitchen hatch, this is just going to be a loss.
They're opening the black box angle though, so this might be winnable, but I think you're right, Xenox. Someone needs to step up and have a big play. It could be Pat as he finds the first.
Oh, Geo gets one as well. Vinny coming through dirt. This is actually pretty good for Wildcard, all things considered. They've done well to be versatile here. Bring this round back when it looked like maybe it was dead and buried. Still work to do. Digital still up. Oh, Fisher Guy got 2 as well. Chiefs win the round. Staggering stuff, guys, because I felt like Wildcard had worked their way into a winnable position. But Fisher Guy and Dig come up big. Chiefs are 4 in zip.
It was a great effort there from Wildcard considering the time constraints they had to work with, but I can't help but feel that, again, the timer was what lost them that round, and they did a fantastic job in trading out most of those picks, but the Chiefs, really good communication at the end there to find counter trades, and were able to win that round out clearly. And, wow, this has been nothing short of dominant so far.
That's the sort of round that would put my mental in the bin a bit. I'm not going to lie. You looked like you were really building up to something that, you know, for Wildcard's sake, they were getting into the round as it went on. Yes, they left it a little bit too late, but I still felt they had enough time. They were getting frags. At one point, they were up 5 versus 3. So they had worked their way into that round. And unfortunately for Wildcard, just too big in the end for Fisher Guy on site, along with Digital as well. And ultimately, Wildcard 2 succumbed, and now they're down 4-0, and that just has got to hurt.
Yes, there is a very small window for Salvation here as they head over the Chiefs, that is, back towards Gym Bedroom. Salvation, a Wildcard. It's all about time management. That timer just, if you're on the attack, and sometimes tick down what feels a lot faster than 3 minutes. They can go by rather quite quickly. We saw Wildcard on their last attempt take from Cash across. Worthy gets lit up. He gets away with his life, droned out further inside of Bot Garage. Maybe Wildcard can find an early pick.
This might sound a bit harsh, but I'm just not even sure if finding an early pick's enough for Wildcard anymore. It's the way that they're able to actually close out the rounds that matters a bit more than getting that opening pick. It's almost like there's 2 steps they've got to take. They keep doing the first step, but they can't quite execute the second step, and that's why they're just down at the moment 4-0. And now it goes even from bad to worse. Geo's going to be the opening death of the round. Vast finding that frag on the mirror. Wow, I mean, you don't see that too often where CC wall gets opened up and a player's just standing in the balcony and just drops dead.
It's nice from Emo. That's a vast on the mirror, taken down inside of Cash. May have been trying to rotate back towards the site. So that's great work there. Worthy and God Legion are both below. Wildcard should be droning this out, knowing Cash is clear, and
They're
taking
rotating
this
back
quickly. Just take it, lads. The time they're burning now is going to cost them later in the execute. There's no one contesting this.
It's too late. I mean, but do they even have that information though, right? Do they have that
They'll have
full
9
information?
drones.
4 of them active as well. Look, there's still a bit of time, but this has probably been the biggest issue for Wildcard so far here on Clubhouse is their time management. They had such a good opportunity to have already dealt with Cash, to have already dealt with Con, to have had a player putting pressure on logistics so much that they probably should have already done, and yet it hasn't happened, and there's only 50 seconds left, and then, well, we can't sit and be surprised when Wildcard make a 10-second push again.
That mirror from below will be tricky to clear, but I think that's why Emo Rin's now going down below. He'll likely be able to impact that, pop it open, and allow the push through Con. A quick drone will make sure that kitchen's clear so that he can execute upon that, as Vinny does find a pick. So if there's any round that looks positive here for Wildcard, at least in terms of man count, it is this one. There's a chance here, as Emo Rin does pop the mirror window. They just need to be clean here, though. Maybe find one more pick and then go for it.
Is he tempted to? He was, and he is going to lose it out, though. And I think this might be the only way Wildcard actually get the round win is just by eliminating everyone. God Legion's left. You almost just don't count him out. He's 6-2-2. If he can swing into through Jim, he can maybe deny this, and he's going to do such a thing. Fortunately, Vinny had the cross angle. Oh, almost. For a second, my heart sank for Wildcard, but they do win out. Gets the trade.
Please. Oh, my heart. What is this? The second he ran in that corner uncontested, I was like, no, not like this, please.
Gold Legion ran as fast as he could, guys, to get out of the way, but not fast enough.
God. Oh, well, Wildcard. They might be able to bring this back to 2-4. I'm still not totally convinced after that last round, but hey, more than happy to be proven wrong. CCTV cash, though, that'll be the objective. Trying to cast my mind back to what happened. Oh, it was the rush. That's right. It was over in 15 seconds. So don't expect that to probably come out once again. It should be a little bit more methodical here from the attack.
Well, that's the thing. Expect the unexpected. And in this case, it's like, okay, the rush execute didn't play out as well as we would have liked. But they surely won't expect us to do it again, right? Let's do it again. That's probably the mindset I would have, which is why I'm in gold 1.
I think I'm gold 1 at the moment, so I really shouldn't be laughing too hard at that. Oh, well. So the Chiefs, stock standard lineup, extension in towards garage rafters, no rotation next to the reinforcement in towards CCTV, so that does extend the amount of time it will take for the attack to open that up, at least by a little bit. Again, more traditional here from Wildcard. They'll open up bot garage, work that, clear the mute jammers, and apply pressure over towards rafters. And in conjunction to that, of course, they'll get CCTV wall open. Vinny's popping that now.
Well, I really want to get in here and ask you something here, but if Chiefs play this more conventionally, play open rafters, a lot of pressure on cash, CCTV, play a top red, if they minimize as well the roam game, I think that might actually play into the hands of Wildcard. Keeping it simple for Wildcard here from Chiefs' side. Whereas what we've been seeing from Chiefs' defense has been that heavy roam style. We've been really seeing them put a lot of pressure on Wildcard early in rounds. Can't necessarily do it as much here on cash CCTV, but if Chiefs play into that more structured approach, I think it could pay dividends for Wildcard.
Yeah, it could be the case. Fast, though. He's strong on this rafters position. I can remember quite a few occasions where he's popped off. In fact, he got an ace here last year. God Legion opens up the bank account, and that's Geo taking that. Sulix dropped as well. It's just falling apart again here for Wildcard. That said,
Sulix should get
brings
brought
one
back up.
back, and yeah, the res could be on. If so, then it would be the 4-on-4, and then if it plays into that structured execute, Wildcard might still have the upper hand. Only a single C4 in the hands of the Chiefs make it none now, and now it's really only Digital that has planted on.
Hang on a second. Oh, the swing from Fisher guy. Imran had no idea to expect that one after he felt like CCTV was clear for the longest amount of time. He had so much free time as well to clear that shield, did so. And the Fisher guy just pops out and says, hello, don't forget about me. 3 versus 2, minute left. He actually didn't clear the shield. So that's still up here for Fisher guy and Chiefs. 55 seconds. This opens up a better sight line, although he's going to have to fix this wall as well. Looking over towards Rafters. Digital top red. We know that Dig is always in these clutch situations. Doesn't necessarily win many of them though, Guz.
I think there's a fair chance here that Wildcard might need to send it deep. There's still 2 smokes on the board with 35 seconds. It's going to be pretty iffy here. If Wildcard go for the default plant, they have to hit this perfectly.
Pat's got to be the entry man here. Of course, the only one with full health. He is going to go in.
Below.
He's got the diffuser. That smoke is going to deny Pat. Fortunately, though, he does have full health. No C4 in hand for Fisher guy from below. Only so much he can do. 15 seconds left. Pat looking for kills now. Now he has to stick it. Now changes his mind. Changes the angle. Didge in the clutch situation, but Silix watching the cross. And Wildcard will close out the half as they breathe a bit of life back into this game.
Well, seemingly out of nowhere, Wildcard, they've managed to achieve the pass rate here on a clubhouse attack. It's 4-2 as we enter the second half. There appears to have been a tack pause. We'll get confirmation on as to who called that. I would have to assume the Chief, but okay. So it's actually a tack pause. So hopefully we get that sorted out nice and quickly. But wow.
Is it a tack pause though?
That could be.
Look, full credit to Wildcard because they were staring down the barrel of defeat. Down 4-0. Most importantly, that 4th round was a big throw and a big let off for Chiefs. In another dimension, it's 3-3 in the half, and you're saying it's game on. 4-2 is not impossible to come back from. If Wildcard get off to a good start, win this opening round, a 4-3 scoreline doesn't quite look as ominous. But of course, if Chiefs get at least just one, it blows back out 5-2 to a +3 differential. Things suddenly look bad again. But on the defense, one thing that will 100% that Wildcard need to do here is not play too defensive. They have to almost take a leaf of or out of the Chiefs' book and employ that sort of roam game a bit, especially on, like, say, Church Arsenal.
I think the concerning thing for me is that a 3-3 would have been a lot more favorable for Wildcard. We need to remember that they need a regulation win here. So an overtime win just isn't going to be enough. Like, it literally won't be. So they're not positioned in the greatest of spots, and I would still argue that those attacks are not overly convincing. So maybe a little bit different story on defense. I don't quite know, but yeah, it's just, again, a testament to how difficult it is to call these games. I was pretty confident in backing, Chiefs when they're at 4-0. They're looking really strong. Yeah, they'll probably run away with it pretty easily. And then Wildcard pluck 2 rounds, and now it's game on.
How embarrassing. Everyone's seen my thinking face there for a second. As we come back here, quick little rehost 4-2. So a bit more time needed for this tack pause for Wildcard. No, probably is an actual situation. Look, I'm happy that we've got ourselves a series, though. We've got ourselves a game. It's 4-2. It's not exactly looking too dire. Good signs from Wildcard. And the biggest thing for me is whenever you lose, how have you lost? Are they close rounds, or are you getting sort of obliterated? Some of the rounds were close. Some of the rounds were pretty one-sided in favor of Chiefs. So you got a little bit of both from Wildcard's sake. In terms of Wildcard's wins, those were pretty close as well. So seeing the best signs here from Wildcard, you would have to still say, Guz, going into the second half, Chiefs are clear favorites here and should be able to, close this game out.
Yeah, and again, just leading on from that standing story, the Chiefs only need a singular point in this matchup to progress. So they're positioned nicely. They can enter cruise mode a little bit here, chill during the downtime, and really hone in on exactly what they want to execute on these attacks. There's been a couple of decent highlights throughout here. A couple of players really stepping up. One for me is probably God Legion. Not sure how many highlights we'll get of him. Oh, here we go. He steps up in round number 3. That was quite a big one at that, and it really was a pretty ugly game of Siege on occasions, particularly late round. Both teams really going back and forth, and it was a little bit sketchy, but Wildcard, they did get those 2 rounds most critically at the end.
Yeah, and as I said, the 2 round wins for Wildcard, not exactly the most clean and methodical wins, but wins nonetheless. While we've got a little bit of time here, I do want to sort of just track back a bit to sort of the ramifications of the results and sort of how they all unfold a little bit. And as you mentioned before, guys, any point will do for Chiefs. Even just an overtime loss gets the job done. So they're pretty close to that. For Wildcard, though, 2 points would actually be enough. And the way this works is they have the tiebreaker to Rufflecopter. How great for them, considering Rufflecopter are on 9 points. Wildcard would need 2 points to match that. And of course, with the tiebreaker, that would put them above Rufflecopter, which would mean they would need Ruffle to get nothing, and they would also require Rhythm to not get 3 points. So there's a bit that would need to happen. Not ideal there, guys, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about this because we're in a rehost. I'm sure Wildcard, that's probably the least of their issues at the moment. I mean, you just can't waste any mental energy on that. It's been a very busy last few weeks for these teams. I'm sure that's probably starting to slowly have an impact if it hasn't already. So compounding that with any external pressures or worries is really just not the play. And that was probably a game plan in itself for a lot of these teams heading into this final play day, is just block out as many external factors as you possibly can, play in the moment, and don't worry about anything else. Don't worry about the scoreboard, your standing, how many kills you're on. It doesn't matter. Just play 1 round at a time, chip away, and just try and get the job done, and have faith in your ability and the ability of your teammates as well.
Fortunately, I'm not playing, so I can look at all of those fancy stats and fancy formulas that can sort of dictate where things may end at the end of the night. I think looking ahead, though, you know, Rufflecopter versus Order, it's going to be tough for Rufflecopter, that's for sure. And then for Rhythm, you kind of expect maybe Rhythm to get the job done against LFO, which would mean that 2 points may actually then not be enough for Wildcard. So, of course, all 3 points would be more ideal, but we'll see how, of course, that all plays out later on tonight. In terms of the game itself, though, 4-2, there's a chance for Wildcard to really get right back in this, as they've done so in the last 2 rounds, picking up those wins. They just got to be cleaner. Of course, though, they're now on the defense, so they don't have to worry, I guess, about having taken so long on their attacking rounds. But at the same time, they also now don't want to sort of do that in terms of the defensive side. By doing that, I would mean by playing too defensive, for instance, and allowing Chiefs to just do as they will.
Yeah, and it's important when you've got players like Gold Legion, for example, already showing form. Chiefs have great entries. Worthy, there's a real window for him to step up now on that entry position as well, and try and find early picks. As you mentioned, Wildcard, they're more than likely going to lean into a more turtle-heavy play style. I wouldn't expect to see them roaming. I'm not counting it out, but I probably wouldn't expect it. And that's simply because their synergy at the moment just isn't as great as it once was. It has been slowly improving, don't get me wrong, but of course nowhere near as good as it used to be. That said, I think the defense will help them a little bit in the sense that individually their players seem to be finding a little bit more comfort, at least on average across the board. And on defense, if you're taking on a lot of ones, obviously that is favorable and you don't need as much synergy technically. On the flip side though, players like Pat, for example, really finding it tough. So as long as he can find himself in the game, the rest of the team as well, they should be looking okay. Chuck Salix on a smoke, I'm sure he'll do God's work, and who knows.
I think this first sight's going to really dictate it, right? Because as I said before, 5-2 makes it a bit hard. You got to really stretch to get some round wins. The one thing I'm going to be looking though is for Chiefs and sort of how they play their attacking style as well. Very intrigued to see if they're going to sort of go very gung-ho, very fast attacks, if they're going to look to get in early. Of course, as you said, maybe not expecting Wildcard to do much roaming. So that means that they can sort of do their sweep game really quickly, get, control the kitchen early. They can have a play go through dirt if they want. There's so much that they can do. Get those hatches open really quickly. And then if they can have like all the hatches open, with like a minute to go, it's free real estate, and then they could maybe then somehow look for a pick through like the floorboards, for instance. So really curious to see how this is going to play out. Of course, just in a slight rehost at the moment, which I don't mind really, all things considered. There's so much on the line here. You want to make sure we are in tip-toppity shape coming back into the game. We are using Dev's spreadsheet. I saw that for a second. He's done a great job tonight in the old observing. Has Dev Marta. I think he's been pretty good.
Yeah, it's done all right. And one other person in the servers that has done a pretty good job is actually Digital. Keep in mind that it wasn't that long ago that he at the last second had to step down for playing in APAC South. He wasn't feeling well. Apparently, it was just not a good sight at all there, and Moloska had to step in, but he's back at least tonight, doing pretty well before the rehost, going 2-3 on the smoke roll. He was doing a decent job late round in denying some of these pushes, particularly that last round number 6. He was playing really good on the plant denial, but then Wildcard were able to send it deep, and they just didn't have the manpower to shut that down. So at least from an individual perspective, again, considering the circumstances, not sure if Digital is feeling 100% yet, but still putting in the performance in the server.
I think the big thing for Digital as well is he's found himself in these scenarios so often throughout not only OCM, but even APAC South. And the more often you find yourself in those positions, the better you're going to get kind of at it, right? It's more practice in the real scenario. So he's going to get more proficient at it. It's a good thing. It's a really good thing for Chiefs as well. They know they can rely on him. Also a good thing for him from an individual point as a player. Makes him a better player. So really happy for Dig. He's had a pretty good season thus far, and look forward to seeing how he plays in the playoffs, provided, of course, Chiefs can secure and lock all of that up here. And, you know, they are looking good in this match. It's been pretty commanding. It's been pretty one-sided. I mean, at times, Wildcard have, of course, gotten 2 rounds on the board, but even in those rounds, Chiefs looked pretty good, which is really good for Chiefs because they are a team that can be inconsistent. You know, coming into this match before, we weren't actually sure which Chiefs was going to show up or which wildcard was going to show up, and that's been the season as a whole. And that's why Juicy said earlier, you got to roll with the punches. Got to be very versatile. You might get the really good Chiefs or you might get the really bad Chiefs. You're not sure exactly which one's going to happen. And well, right now, I think we're getting a bit of the really good Chiefs.
Those second chances after today, of course, it is the final play day of the regular season of OCN 2021. Stage number 1. Playoffs this weekend. Should be pretty hype. Neither of these teams, though, will be too excited about that yet because neither has actually confirmed their position in said playoffs. Should be a lot of fun. Gauntlet format. The Chiefs in a position to elevate themselves in the standings as well. I think that's pretty important to touch on. So they can... because they used to be able to elevate. Yeah, funny. They can position themselves deeper in that gauntlet format. In fact, where's the highest they can place? So they're currently heading into this payday on 10 points. They get a full regulation win. Of course, that's +3. That puts them on 13 points, which means that potentially they could finish 2nd or 3rd. I think 3rd.
No, they can finish. They can finish 2nd. That
what was
would
their
require...
head-to-head with
Bliss?
Order? Okay, they won the head-to-head with Bliss. So
yeah, they lost to Order, of course. Yeah. 2nd's their best. 3rd's probably their most likely, which is kind of rough actually for Bliss when you start to think about it. They were first coming into tonight. There's a very high likely chance that they will drop to 4th by the end of it based on their earlier loss to Knight. So that may actually make things very tricky for Team Bliss later in the playoffs. We'll head back and turn our focus to this matchup though. Of course, Chiefs need to get the job done. You know, it's one thing to sort of look at where they're going to place and where they're going to finish, provided they get all 3 points here, but they still have to achieve that. Still a ways to go. 4-2 is the current scoreline. And no surprise to see sort of Chiefs already towards Kitchen, minute 40 on the clock. Very quickly here. There's no roam game from Wildcard, and Chiefs are fully aware of this.
Yeah, as expected, Wildcard heavy on site. They have the util, of course, to facilitate that. And I would presume that Vinny, the Valkyrie, has good intel on site as well. Worthy being cautious on the hatch, sending out 2x Kairos at a time to counter any potential impact trick. Both Geo and, well, I was going to say Vinny still had impacts as God, Legion finds that pick. Was that at bot blue at the generator? Surely that's where it was. I doubt it was a flank. I have no idea. Okay.
It's going to leave Wildcard at a disadvantage with 50 seconds to go in the round.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, right. Okay. Pushed up pretty far over into Oil Pit. God Legion drops down. Imran watching, though, over at the generator. They did find one back at least. Vast eliminated. Sledge is out of the game. It's your guy just trying to clear out that utility from the ADSs. 30 seconds left. Imran is just pushed aside by God Legion, like most of the players of Wildcard currently are. It's a quad. Can he find all 5? And the ace, no. Worthy will shut out Silex over in dirt. Methodical. And it's the second time God Legion has just made Wildcard look like children.
And again, it's rounds like these that make me look at the scoreboard and say, how is this game not over? This should be a 7-0. The Chiefs on the rounds that they're winning are just completely dominant and very rarely giving Wildcard a look in. I mean, this push down blue, perfect. Emo reinforced out by the nade, the follow-up kill onto Geo, and then the finish on to Pat. Almost got the ace, but Silex was secluded over towards dirt. And I said that these players on the entry for the Chiefs were going to be such a massive threat, and Wildcard is unable to shut them down.
Yeah, and it's I mean, we obviously didn't see Vinny over an Oil Pit. We know he died there. But it's an aggressive position to hold. And you just have to wonder, though, is that the right play? I guess in a way, though, if they just sit on site and they're not playing in some sort of off-angle position, then you can criticize at that. So regardless, you're almost going to criticize it. If it works and he does find a kill, then you praise it. It just doesn't work out. And that's almost the round as a whole there for Wildcard. It just doesn't work out. So let's do it again. Let's go Church Arsenal and let's do this one more time. And I say one more time because, well, at this point, they kind of need to come back all the way and win the next 5 in a row, guys, if they're really going to make playoffs.
This is a season-defining point. If they lose this, they're going to get a maximum of 2 points. And that won't be enough, because they didn't win the head-to-head against Rufflecopter. Actually, they did win the head-to-head.
They did. It can be enough. It just is very unlikely.
But Rufflecopter would then need to not win any points against them.
Or Rhythm. Yeah.
It's a bit complicated. Basically, this is season-defining point for Wildcard. If Wildcard lose this, don't have too much hope in them making the playoffs. That's basically the simplest way to think about it.
Well, if they lose this in regular time and Chiefs get all 3 points, Wildcard are 100% out. There's no question about that. And right now, Chiefs are on the verge. Also, one thing I should mention, and this is in a lighter note, Chiefs are 1 round away for securing their place in the playoffs. They go to 6 and they will be, without a doubt, in the playoffs, no question. You can celebrate early, even at 6-2. From that point, it doesn't really matter. Chiefs won't care too much. What happens after that?
Well, there is standings again, standing implications. So you still want to, I guess, go for the full 3 points. DPU start into the gauntlet. Arguably, the higher chances are of taking it out. So I guess there is that small little carrot being dangled. But as we mentioned in the rehost, these players won't be thinking about that. Chiefs will just want the win at whatever cost. And I doubt they'll be relaxing too much, even if they do secure this round, which so far for them is going pretty well. Third established in kitchen hallway, and again, Worthy 2x Kairos at a time will pop the kitchen hatch. No one contesting that from Wildcard. Geo, the only player with impacts, but Alex to save them, maybe for the Church triple wall later in the round.
Bomb located.
Such a stark difference between these two teams right now, where they're at. Wildcard are just like the team that's a deer in the headlights against the big dogs. Whereas last season it was, the opposite really. Wildcard were the big dogs. They were the ones that would throw their weight around in the matches, and now it's just flipped completely. Almost a little saddening to see, but they've had enough time now that those excuses are long gone to what they had at the start of the season, where the excuses were quite valid. And as I said before, maybe all eyes on stage 2. And it's going to be God Legion getting droned through dirt. It's going to force Silex back. I mean, they kind of expect Silex to be playing dirt. He has so every round that's fine. The gas canister. Not quite for the drone, but it almost looks that way.
And trying to push back Gold Legion alongside Digital. Flashes go out, utility being burnt.
Oh, wow.
It's going to be tough
Aggressive.
for Silex to hold on, but he can't. It's a 5 versus 4 with 15 seconds left.
Fisheye guy's in as well. He's getting that plant down. This is just disaster for Wildcard. They have just been pushed aside. Chiefs are just so clinical right now. The team that's usually so inconsistent. Well, right now they're bringing their best. Flawless. Match point. 6-2. And they are making this look like child's play.
And just like that, they're in the playoffs. Woo!
Woo!
Go the Chiefs. The boys in blue.
Celebrate good times. Go Chiefs.
That was something.
Never again.
No. But yeah, it's been a good performance from the Chiefs, and it doesn't feel like this momentum in the second half is really going to slow down anytime soon. That's the same objective now, won twice in a row for the attack, and Wildcard will switch things up, head above rather, for the first time to CCTV and Cash. Mixed results for them on their attack.
Attackers need to locate and defuse
They'll be looking
any
to
bombs
switch
if they can.
that momentum in their favor, though. 5 rounds, or 4 rounds straight now, I guess, to get it to overtime. Looking increasingly unlikely.
And it's upsetting to see Wildcard in this position, but it's also extremely comforting to see Chiefs being able to play at their absolute best, which they have done so, being led by God Legion as well. I mean, we had the rehost, so you're not going to fully see how good his stats are this match until later on, but he has been incredible. Digital's been good, and as a whole, the team has just been outstanding to watch, and it just builds that form going into the playoffs, also to close out the season of APAC South. So all good signs for the Chiefs, when just maybe over the last week or so, things looked a little bit bumpy for them. And that's all that's really stopping this team, in my eyes, from being even, honestly, at their absolute peak, could very well be the best team in the region if they can deal with inconsistency issues. That might seem like a big call, Guz, and in a way it probably is. And it's a lot of teams that do have those inconsistency issues, but you deal with them before everyone else, and hey, you get to the front of the pack.
All about peaking at the right time. And someone that would know about that is the Maverick on screen now, Fisher Guy, previously on the Sinistar, then Noble, then Malin-Cat squad. They themselves had notoriously bad form when it came to playoffs.
And very
But
high
he'll know-
highs.
Yeah, he'll know that all too well. Meanwhile, though, he's working the CCTV wall with coverage on the rappel. Seeming to have a couple of issues. It was shotgunned out by the defense, making it a little bit tricky, but it gets finished off there by Fisher. Digital with the skeleton key can open that up nice and wide, and of course now the Chiefs can begin to apply pressure to Vinny, who's playing on rafters.
Should mention as well, fun little stat, especially for the Chiefs fans, but as they do close this out 7-2, they will have the highest round differential out of every team in OCN so far. Of course, still with 2 matches to be played. Only really Order probably being the ones that could catch them in that regard. They would have to sort of those stomp Rafflecopter. So that's a good sign heading into the playoffs to have the highest round differential. Of course, they won't have the highest points, but see if they can close this out and finish strong here in what would be a very commanding victory, very deserved victory as well, having played so well. Minute 15 seconds, slower approach, not too surprising when teams get to match point. Just kind of bring things back a little bit, reel it in, and they're going for this comm push, which we don't see too much in OCN, but a lot of the SEA teams do execute this way quite often.
Impacts will be critical here from Pat, denying that cash wall from being opened. He has them in hand, throws out one, and I believe it connects. But of course, Worthy still with 10x Kairos in the bank, and a line of sight already established will force Pat off. He needs to play behind that deployable shield, and now the Chiefs can open that wall up nice and wide. Additional utility being cleared out as they prepare for the execute, and I expect Fisher to probably try and dive in deep, get on top of that table and get the plant down.
Nothing spotted yet from Chiefs. 25 seconds left. They've been very methodical with their executions on their attack, and even more so when they were on the defense. Gas canister thrown out from Silex. Perfect time to do so, because now time is of the essence here for Chiefs. 14 seconds left. They're in the red. There's still another gas canister in the pocket of Silex, so that's going to force Chiefs to just push on to sight. Vast with the flank, but he does get stopped by Silex at top red. Double from Digital. They're all dead in the blink of an eye. It's all over. Chiefs 7-2. Too good, too quick. What a match. They will head to the playoffs. And for Wildcard, their season is done and dusted. Bottom 2, unfortunately for them. And they will now look ahead to stage 2, while the Chiefs look ahead to playoffs.
Boys in blue come up strong, and despite a mini comeback of sorts there from Wildcard, the Chiefs proving way too strong there, particularly on the late round of those attacks. No response from the defense. And the form now for the Chiefs heading into playoffs is really positive.
Yeah, the highest round differential as well at the current stage, +9, unless Order in the next matchup to play can, of course, do one better. That puts them to 13 points. They go above Bliss, so Bliss, of course, now go from first to second and now to third as it currently stands. Chiefs will jump up momentarily, guys, into second place, but of course we've got the Order matchup to come after this, so we're not going to look too much into that for now. But as you said, good signs and also good form going into playoffs.
Yeah, it was a great performance from the Chiefs, and I did get a little bit worried at the halftime break that maybe I called it a little bit too early, because Wildcard did mount, again, that mini comeback with a couple of tentative attacking rounds in number 5 and 6, but it really then flipped. The Chiefs were just absolutely all over Wildcard when it came to their attacks, and didn't have some of those scarier moments that we saw from Wildcard late round, and that really is the difference maker. Just that little bit more confidence and synergy on the board was enough to get them over the line.
Yeah, I mean, well, you almost make it sound like they just scraped over the line. They decimated Wildcard, and even the 2 rounds that Wildcard won, Wildcard scraped by in those rounds, right? So Chiefs were just on another level tonight. They definitely brought their A game, and you can see it with their stats. God Legion 14-4. Now, I don't know if he's going to get MVP for the night, simply based off the fact we only played 9 rounds, and this wasn't like an OT banger where he racked up 20. But had Wildcard mounted some sort of a comeback, he probably would have got 20. So he at 100% cost, along with Bast as well, even though he went 4-8. I mean, right now, I'm just going to say it, that's my MVP of the night. With 2 games to go, though, but God Legion is in the front by a large margin.
Yeah, definitely leading the pack at the moment. Plus for an entry as well is just huge, giving his team that advantage, and that's reflected in the round history, as you can see. Round number 1 was the only round where the diffuser was planted. Every single other round, it just came to trading it out, sending it deep, and finding those picks, and the Chiefs thrived in that environment for the most part.
They thrived in general on Clubhouse. The second time we've, of course, had Clubhouse tonight. This one was way more one-sided than the earlier Knights Bliss matchup, and full credit, of course, has to go to Chiefs in their role in this match. They were too good for Wildcard in the end. We kind of questioned coming into it. I mean, even the so-called expert panel, I think, had 2 or 3 tipping Wildcard to take out Chiefs, which I just can't believe that. Of course, we went Chiefs all the way. Yeah, the Chiefs, as we've got an interview from our ever lovable favorite. It is, of course, Digital, who has been popping off a little bit lately, mate. Congratulations, firstly, on securing playoffs, but also on a very outstanding win, 7-2. Very clinical from you guys.
Yeah, it was a good win to get it under the board for us. We needed it. Couple of losses previously, so this was a much needed win, and yeah, glad we just were able to do it.
Yeah, how are you guys heading into playoffs? I guess it's going to be quite a different dynamic. You've been playing best of ones now for quite a few weeks. It's been a pretty hectic schedule. The gauntlet's going to change everything up. It'll be best of 3. And I assume you'll have a bit more time to prepare for your matches. How are you feeling heading into that?
Yeah, just preparing ourselves like we always do, really. Just sort of taking it game by game, really, which is what we've had to do because of the 4 officials. A week at the very most. At most, it's 3, but anyway, just a lot of officials during the week, so game by game. But I feel like this last week, we might have a little bit of free time, considering this is our last game. So, probably just scrim and get into it. I think this coming second, I think we are just means we'll have more time off, more time to kick back and sort of just go over things. So definitely more time to prep, which is good. Yeah.
You seem pretty focused and locked on, and as you should be. Of course, you got APAC South tomorrow onwards, and then obviously playoffs is where it really matters the most. Tonight just seemed like sort of getting the job done. You guys did that, but going into the playoffs, you guys have surely got to feel like you can beat anyone, especially when you bring your best.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I don't know. It just when we're playing our best, I feel like we're definitely hard to beat. So just need to make sure that we're all working off each other, coming well, and yeah, I feel like we're definitely something short of unstoppable. So yeah, it's good. Sorry, I'm just like, my throat's killing me.
Yeah,
mate.
that was what I was going to ask you quickly. Obviously, APAC South the other week you had to play out last minute. Just how are you feeling on a personal level? You popped off in a couple of rounds tonight, so I guess it isn't too bad, but obviously not ideal.
Yeah, nah. That night I was definitely not feeling well, but it's a steady climb back. All that's left is just like a really sore throat and just a couple of headaches, but I'm grinding my way back. And yeah, I'll get to 100% again. I wanted to scream so loud after that play and after God's play as well, because God went off. But I gotta hold back for a bit and save it for playoffs.
Hold it for the playoffs, mate. Hold it for the playoffs. Exactly. Keep the hype for then. Yeah.
Exactly, Wiz.
Probably should have told God Legion as well to hold some of those plays for the players, because he was insane tonight. Look, before we let you go, any final shout outs, especially to your new wonderful organization?
Shout out to Chiefs. Always like shouting out my teammates. Play well tonight. And yeah, just shout out to the fans and everyone watching tonight. Appreciate the support. Means a lot.
Definitely, you guys are going to have a strong backing of support going into the playoffs, and best of luck as well for the rest of the season in APAC South.
Yep, thank you. Cheers to the cast, boys.
Well, it's a 80% fit digital, and yeah, he played like 150% tonight. He didn't look like the cold was slowing him down at all, so it's a bit scary that there's even more room to improve digital coming into the playoffs, and maybe the case for the Chiefs as a whole. They showed us a bit of their strength here in this matchup against what is a wounded wildcard Guz, but we know that at their best, I mean, even Knight should be wary of them.
Yeah, at their best, they're the best. I think, as I sort of briefly touched on in the interview, it's going to be such a change of dynamic, going from a lot of rapid fire best of ones across 2 leagues to really narrowing down to a single weekend where it's best of 3s. It just changes everything, and you often find that the cream really does rise to the top there, and it's going to come down to questions like, do Chiefs actually have the depth in the map pool? Because we haven't seen it tested with these 5 yet.
Yeah, a chance of a redemption as well for Fisher Guy in the playoffs. Hopefully he can turn his personal playoff record around. We're going to go to a quick break, but of course we've still got more awesome games to come. After the break, it's Roll for Copter fighting for their playoff life versus Order.
Seconds to go.
many are there? 6?
I think I should ace this. I should, yeah. Five's reasonable, I think.
I think I'll do okay. I'd be happy with getting at least half.
2.
My name is Digital,
Hello, my name's Dino.
I am Vincia.
and this is the 6 Sounds Audio Challenge. Yeah, okay. Sounds like a Rooney's Gate, I think.
What the hell?
Okay, so it's reloading. That's an Rooney gate going up, I think.
I think it's 0. 0 is Gadget. The one he shoots into the wall.
Yeah, that's definitely her placing it on the door frame, and then that's it activating for sure.
Yes, get in. Get in. I was rightfully confident.
That has a sound? I wasn't gonna get that. This is one of 3 sounds. It's either operator pick, you just lost the round, or you just won the round.
That is the sound of the map starting just before band phase.
The intro noise? Yeah. Wait. Oh, wait, no, that's a...
You're loading into just a map. You're loading into the map.
Which map?
Just a map. I don't know a map. I don't know.
I feel like it's definitely a map I've played a lot. I think Clubhouse. I'm gonna say Clubhouse. I don't think it's right, but I'm gonna say Clubhouse.
Consulate. Consulate, I'm just gonna guess it. Locking in Consulate.
Hereford base.
I should have got that.
Did you say correct?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So there's different sounds for different maps. Interesting. I normally alt tab out when we're loading into it.
It's a gun shooting. I think the gun sounds sound different on different sound profiles.
Okay, so it's a gun. Duh. And
Oh, yeah. Wait, like, maybe the reload sound will give it off.
I think it's Thatcher's AR. I think it's called AR-13 or AR-33 or something.
It's a new attack. I feel like it's a new attacker.
That's like a lever pulling back, so maybe Buck. Gonna have to say Buck, but I don't think that's right.
I'm gonna go Gridlock's gun. AR-33, play that again. No, you have done some editing to that.
Did someone get that right? It was Ditch, wasn't it?
When sounds actually mean something to me, like when it's actually useful, then yeah, I know what it is. Loading into a map, that's not gonna help me in comp. I'm not gonna remember that.
That is ridiculous, man.
That's just changing the gun firing mode.
Wait. One.
That's easy. That's when you're changing a gun from single burst in order, changing fire mode.
It's like 3 modes. You hear it. I'm gonna go lock in bullet rate of fire mode. Oh, I reckon 4 from 6 here is credible.
2 out of 6. Woo! You're punching something. Oh, you're punching Castle's Barricade.
Castle's Barricade, don't know the name of them, but the Castle Barricade being, yeah, destroyed by meleeing.
Punching a castle barricade till it opens, I think.
So it starts off hard and it's going easier, I think. Alright.
Alright, last one, come on.
Okay, what's this? It's not in game. Oh, it's an alpha pack.
Opening an alpha pack.
Opening an alpha pack, that's, yeah. Come on, mates, come on. That's alpha pack.
Did I beat Digital? That's all I care.
Not happy, but then also happy because I sort of came back there. So
You win.
What do I get though?
Pride?
Yeah, that's all right. I'll take that.
I'm happy that I got 4 out of 6, but because he got 4 out of 6, no.
I guess I'm just playing more than you guys, and I mean, it shows. I don't know. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'll just have to beat him in game, which should be easy.
woo.
Welcome back to the final playday for OCN, playday number 7. 2 games have been wrapped up and done. Chiefs, they're in the playoffs. Wildcard, they're in the bottom 2. Those have been certified. Of course, we've got 2 more matches still to be played, and 2 of those matches, guys, of course, still dictate who's going to make playoffs.
Yeah, the action is just never ending here in OCN. Very excited for the final 2 games. We've already had 2 really exciting ones so far, and I'm sure these 2 will probably only bring it up to another level.
I'm pumped. The heart rate pumping. You know what else can get it pumping as well? Bit of cardio work that you can get done over at Snap Fitness 24/7 as well. At any time, we can go right after the broadcast. Me and you guys going to pump some weights. Don't forget, guys, to take advantage of Snap Fitness Australia's latest offer. It's $4 per week for your first 4 weeks at any Snap Fitness gym in Australia. So for more information, !SNAP in the chat, and you can get a juicy bonus there. And I definitely know that me and Guz are going to do at some point some sort of Snap Fitness stream. Can't wait to pump some iron.
Show the
big
guns,
shout out.
Guz. That's not happening. Ticker man, no, we've been through this. No.
Big thank you to Snap
Flex it,
Fitness.
no.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Snap. You guys are the best. Hey, what's that? Can we get a muscle percentage analysis on that, please, production?
Take it away, guys.
What do you want to talk about? What are we talking about? I don't know.
Our next matchup. I think
about
that's
the match. Ruffle and Order. Is it ready? Boom. Yeah, there we go. Maybe I should be the host. I know what I'm doing. Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
This should be a banging matchup. Of course, big playoff implications for this one heading into tonight. Order were, of course, sitting 3rd, but that has now changed. They'll be dropped down due to the Chiefs just coping at 3 points against Wildcard. And then Rufflecopter, on the other hand, they've had a bit of a rough season. It started off well for them and they were 1st for a little bit, but now they've dropped down to 5th and they'll be looking to bounce back and secure their position in the playoffs.
Yes, well, we've of course had some results now that have already taken place, most notably the Chiefs. Now, what that has now done is secured our 4 teams, which means there's only 1 spot left, 1 incy spot. It's spot number 5, which Rufflecopter currently occupy on 9 points. Now, that sounds like good. You're like, oh, but Xenox, what's the issue? Rufflecopter in 5th place. They got playoffs secured. They don't. Of course, there's a team that's below them that's going to be playing after this called Rhythm, and if Rhythm get all 3 points, they will then jump above Ruffle. Now, for Rufflecopter's sake, it's actually pretty good. A win secures playoffs, an overtime win also secures playoffs, an overtime loss now also secures playoffs, guys. So they're in a pretty good spot. In fact, they're in the exact same spot the Chiefs were in the prior matchup. Now, if they lose, the only way that they miss playoffs is if Rhythm get all 3 points. So a loss here in regular time leaves a door ajar for Rhythm. Outside of that, though, Rufflecopter should hopefully be flying into the playoffs.
Indeed. Very small window that they do not make the playoffs, but you do not want to leave anything to chance. If this league has proven anything in stage 1, do not leave anything up to chance because underdogs will always take that opportunity.
Yep, let's go and look at their opponents for this matchup. Of course, Order are looking pretty sharp, and so sharp that there's an opportunity now presented to them for top spot, number 1 seeding, 15 points provided they get all 3 in this match. So that's something that they actually have brewing here. Now, an overtime win as well would also be enough, as I believe they've got the tiebreaker against Knights. They do, just quickly confirmed that one. So 2 points or 3 points will secure top spot for Order. that's it. Of course, they're already in the playoffs. If they get nothing from this, though, and somehow Rafflecopter win and get all 3 points, though, guys, guess what happens? Order will go to 5th, and the last game will be a dead rubber, which is a little bit boring. So we don't want that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, 5th place would still, of course, get this team in the playoffs, but not ideally positioned for the gauntlet format. If you finish first, well, then you're at least guaranteed second when it comes to the weekend, which is where you want to be. Quick shout out to Jack Daddy. He turned 24 today, so happy birthday to Jack Dad. He made a tweet saying, "Where are the wrinkles? Time to game." So, I mean, he's looking pretty fresh in the little pic that he posted, and hopefully he's looking good in the server.
Let me just write my happy birthday from Guz and Xenox live from OCN. Done.
Are you in Twitch? Chat?
No, Twitter.
Ah, okay. Cool.
Just a live tweet. Just send that one over. Let's move things forward though, guys, of course, and see where this match is going to be playing. I think I got that call in my ear, and I did, of course.
It's not Clubhouse. Thank you,
It's
Order.
not Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Close. Does start with a C though. It's Consulate, which is pretty nice to see, guys. Of course, we haven't seen much Consulate this season of OCN. Trying to get the stat once, which I believe was the other night, wasn't it?
Yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday between Bliss and Wildcard. Bliss took Wildcard to quote-unquote their map, or at least it was historically, and Bliss blew them out of the water. So, wow, this sets up for a really exciting game. Both Ruffle and Order love to play some cheeky, aggressive siege. Consulate facilitates that, and I don't see any reason why that won't be the case here. I'm keen. Consulate is, as I always affectionately call it, a bit of a monkey map, but a bit of variety, which is what you love to see. If Clubhouse had a snuck through again, I think he would have been solid casting.
I'm gonna see if I can. Does this work? Not sure. Oh, look at this. There you go. Live little update.
Oh, it's from the lobby.
Thanks, lads. Live from the lobby. I'm not sure if this is working out.
No, it's working. It's working.
Yeah, awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, awesome. So hopefully he's ready to go in game rather than too busy on the old Twitterverse. Look, final thoughts before we hop into Consulate. I know you're excited that we get something a little bit different here because we did think tonight was going to be the Clubhouse Oregon night. So far, it was shaping up to be that way. Never mind. No final thoughts from Guards. Nope. We're going straight in. Don't worry about him. He doesn't matter. Rafflecopter still fighting for their playoff lives. For Order, top spot is beckoning. We'll see if they can capitalize here on Consulate.
Well, heading into the ban phase, at least on Clubhouse, I've had a lot to talk about in terms of history between teams, but here there is basically nothing when it comes to Consulate, so who knows what will be brought out. I assume there'll be bans that will facilitate aggression, so I wouldn't be surprised if Order follow up the Thatcher ban with a Nomad that would allow a lot of the runouts that would otherwise be shut down. I'll have to wait and see. Could be something a bit more left of field. No, it will be Nomad, so I've read into that one all right. In terms of defense, I wouldn't be surprised if it's your mirrors, maybe a hard breach denial. We could see maybe the trend continuing of a mute ban to shut down some of the roam extensions, but that's probably a little bit left of field. It'll actually be a projectile denial in the end, so Wamai taken out.
Last one, you would have to assume should be Valkyrie.
If it's not, they'll have to play IQ. Yeah, taken down. That does leave the mirror on the board, which is fun on Consulate. Quite a few strategic options you can bring to the table with her. We'll have to see whether or not, of course, these teams elect to play into that. Ruffle starting on the defense first will be positioned well to introduce that to the matchup if they so desire. Second floor, though, probably the one site we're not going to see it, but as I say that, OJ actually does tease it. But that might be to lure Order into a false sense of security, thinking it's downstairs. Maybe he will stick it. I don't know. I wouldn't think so. Yeah, no, he doesn't. Yeah, okay, good. I thought he was big braining me there. OJ doesn't big brain Guz. In fact, I sent him a DM today saying I hope he loses, and he wasn't very happy.
Oh, jeez.
Because he said that. What did he say? Let me just quickly find this video. I got it up on my second. He said, "Thanks to my favorite caster at Manic in a DM." I mean, that's just not on.
Manic?
Yeah, I know. Exactly. Just absolutely unbelievable.
Well, shows he doesn't really know much. One thing we do know, though, of course, is the Snap Fitness community vote. Usually, you guys are pretty on point as you were in the last matchup. 71% to 29 in favor of Order, and that is probably about right. I would say 70% to 30%, but again, you know, we're just being a little bit pedantic there, guys. It's pretty spot on. I think Order definitely the firm favorites, and 70-30% though kind of suggests that Order are going to get all 3 points.
Yeah, probably the case. Thanks, Dev, for highlighting the Syria gates. I know you're wanting me to talk about them. Why do you bring them to the table and using that to double deny the entries on the CEO windows? Don't know where the third gate was placed. Maybe top yellow. Had to guess.
Or Dev's hunting.
No. There you go, top stairs. Thanks, Devi. Love you. Can we get a nod, Dev? Can we get a nod? Oh no. Oh, he said XO. Ah, that's cute.
Does he know how to nod?
It was always as cute as his kiss line. Almost.
Oh, very good-looking fellows. The guys at OCN.
Well, most of them.
Oh, most of them.
Yeah, that Xenox guy's a bit.
Yeah, a little bit average. Just weighing the team down. Order on the attack here on Consulate. Roffelcopter on the defense. Get underway here for our third match of the night, which has been a mixed bag so far. No OT, no crazy long matches that are going back and forth, and it's just been the favorites winning out. Knights, of course, in the first matchup against Bliss, and then after that was
below on OJ.
Was Chiefs. OJ takes a bit of damage and almost gets forced into the window of Joker. OJ's able to just stay in this bathroom for the time being, although he's still alive. Just taking so much damage from below. Oh, no. Nate's going to be the one that actually dies to Campo.
So Nate was outside the window applying the pressure from below, and then Campo just swings benches and gives him the old good night. And now OJ's still positioned inside of bathroom, and he's probably not going to have a massive impact in this round. Should be taken down quite quickly. But this has been a massive time sink for Order. We're almost 2 minutes into the round, and they still haven't cleared this player.
Still a minute to go. OJ is low for the remainder of this game. Campo's got a second one from main stairs. Got the initial kill onto Nate. Now he catches Joker. And there's a third one on the map as well. Bouncing's going to get Ippy style. Order's attack is, well, just been torn to shreds.
Roffelcopter just playing this like an absolute diamond ranked game right now, not allowing Order anywhere near the interior of the building. All 3 picks outside. Jack Dad might be the first player to properly step foot inside the building, but he'll be contested at the top of the stairs. Cutie meanwhile actually found his way deep, but Campo, he has a big round and bouncing to close things off.
Well, if Order are going to get all 3 points, they're going to have to attack better than that. But full credit to Roffelcopter, as he said, the way that they were playing, making it very difficult for Order to get actually inside the building. I mean, and you know, usually getting inside of the building is a good thing, right? It's how you get the diffuser down. It's how you win rounds. So why not stop them from getting inside the building? Good start for Roffelcopter on the board, nice and early. Should probably mention, though, that Consulate, especially compared to some of the other maps, has been played a bit more defender-sided. So a 4-2 for Roffelcopter might actually even be expected.
Is it really?
Well, yeah, I'm looking at the stats. 58% defender-sided.
Is that based? That would be based on just last night, right?
May have forgot about that part.
Yeah. I wouldn't read too much into that. I mean,
I may have forgot about that part.
No. It's an interesting discussion point. I mean, we have seen some maps like Coastline, for example, feel like they've trended a little bit more defender-sided.
It's because it has 58% on Coastline too.
Yeah, Consulate, at least historically, especially some sites like above, have just been incredibly attacker-sided. There's just been no way of getting yourselves in these rounds. But a couple of the other sites maybe are opening up a little bit more, and teams on defense playing very aggressive and just denying teams from entering the map. And as cheesy as that sounds, as much as it looks like a ranked game, it can actually genuinely work out. So if Ruffle continue to bring this aggression and the heat outside of the building and prevent Order from getting footholds, who knows? Maybe this could end up being defender-sided. I wouldn't put it past this season of OCN.
I mean, it also comes down to the way the teams play it, right? I mean, as you said, we've only got really one match to go off, so I probably retract a little bit of what I said because of that. It's my bad. Looked at the percentage first before I actually looked at the games played. Completely forgot. We've only seen Consulate once, which is strange because it's a map you would expect to see a little bit more often, but it's the nature of best of ones in a season, I guess. And you are right in what you were saying before. Attacker can be decent above. But the way Rufflecopter are playing this is going to make it very difficult for Order. And if it proves to be successful, then it is going to be another defender-sided consulate. So screw the stats.
Campo looking in form at the moment, but I'm kind of hoping he doesn't kill Nate. I wouldn't mind seeing Fuse get to work here on the floor. It's an operator that, of course, doesn't see a whole lot of play in competitive. With a lot of that floor being destructible, Nate can send the hockey pucks down below, clear utility rather, and maybe
Utility.
maybe find a fatality. I think those are the two words that I was combining. That could be a potential play. I wouldn't mind seeing that payoff.
You don't see Fuse too often. I mean, how many times is the defending team just going to be sitting on site? I mean, you're right, you can clear the utility, also known as utility. See how it plays out. And yeah, look, I'm intrigued. Still got another floor to go as well below this one. So apparently just in waiting. Minute 18 seconds too. And I mean, they haven't got much presence on the first floor, let alone basement.
Beauty with a Gemini Danny Yellow. We'll spot Campo, who's yet to find a kill in this round. Played the Mozzie in the last and found 3. One of those with the C4 as well. Boydie taking that operator in this round. Boydie now looking to establish control above. Nate still with 4 cluster charges deep in those big pockets. Will start to unleash hull upon this site. No one can sit behind White Van. No one can sit pipes. They all have to sit deep. And this could facilitate a plan.
Gemini went in actually from Cutie first before actually going in with the diffuser with Jack Dad. So they are going in. Summer Charge went out too, as I could see on the utility on the right-hand side of the screen. 20 seconds left here. Order. This round is suiting them a lot more than the prior one. Campo's going to go down to Nate. Ippy drops down service and is immediately eliminated by bouncing coming down the service stairs. Now pushing in through the cafeteria. 5 seconds left. Diffuser is not down. And it's only Cutie that's left. I don't know how this has just turned on its head. I think Boyder over at Yellow Stairs actually denying the plan earlier. We missed it, but wow. Second round in a row now for Rufflecopter.
That round there it didn't even feel like it was that bad of a situation for Order. They had control above. They used the fuse to clear garage, and I thought from there they would go for a hatch, not a hatch, a garage breach plan. And I think they maybe tried to overcomplicate it a little bit. We saw Ippy Style trying to pinch from behind. He got shut down. A couple of other players towards Yellow and Peaks at the breach also shut down. And it felt like that plan sort of wilted a little bit there at the closing stages. So fortunate there for Order, who couldn't commit to the plan and pull it off fully. But props to Ruffle. They're bringing the heat. They're hitting their shots and not really giving Order a whole lot of hope in some of these rounds.
Long way to go. Order's the kind of team as well that's versatile. Can get back into matches that they're seemingly out of. But it's good signs for Rufflecopter, of course. They're playing for their playoff lives here. They've got a lot that they've got to fight for. And you know, you said before that it's not going to be on the players' minds, but coming into the match, they should obviously know what is required for them to secure playoffs. Sure, they're not thinking about it while they're in the games, but they do have an awareness of what needs to happen. So, got to go out there, though, and make it happen. And not only that, but a statement win. If you defeat Order, going into the playoffs, in a similar manner to Chiefs, you're finding that form at the right time for Rufflecopter's sake. And how about Order, though? The fact that they can either finish first or fifth, I mean, that just summarizes OCN in a nutshell.
It all comes down to the 7th and final best of 1 of stage 1. We saw in the prep phase there, Boydie with the black mirrors using those downstairs. They're being watched currently in preparation for a west side push across the map. Bouncing as well. He's playing Oryx. He'll be able to bounce around the map and play quite aggressively. Even Campo as well on Pulse, facilitating that information gathering as well. So they are bringing really frustrating lineups to play against. And they're not necessarily util heavy, but they're gaining a lot of information and denying it as well. In fact, to be fair, it's probably actually a balance of utility and also information, because Castle and Mirror can cause a lot of issues and soak a lot of that up for the attack as well.
I feel like right now, Rafflecopter are setting the tempo in this match here on Consulate. They're the ones that are just making things happen. That's better from Nate, though. And it's something that ought to need a bit more aggression and a little bit more pushing.
Bit of oomph.
OJ finds one elsewhere on the map, though, onto Joker. Yeah, bit of oomph. That's a second EE1D out from Nate. Only one left in his back pocket. Minute 20 left on the clock. As the admin office hatch has now been opened up. Ipistar looking to create that sight line. That's the final charge out now from Nate. Not sure if really much was created with it.
I guess they've used it early to gather some map control, and they have a decent presence around the site now. Might hamper them in the execute if the defenders are allowed to run around quite freely. Campo in particular on the bottom floor, gathering that intel, will want to be able to move quite freely, and Nate just forgets that someone might be in the site. Hot shot with a C4 is the one to eventually finish that kill. And now Roffle, out of nowhere, they have a significant man advantage. Bouncing, he's bouncing around the walls, never mind the balls, and Ipistar and JackDad are now left to clutch up.
You were saying about Consulate and not being defender-sided or something. It's about to be 3-0 to Roffle. And convincingly as well. Order are just in disarray right now. JackDad's going to be out. The two nice little slow swing / peek from Bouncing. As you said, bouncing around the map. And in the end, it's now a 3-0 start for Rafflecopter.
The style of play that Roffle are bringing to the table right now is, again, people in chat are probably saying this is gold ranked Siege, but honestly, they're going into this with a smart game plan. They're just like, hey, let's run around, be aggressive, play annoying operators, and just keep annoying Order. That's their game plan. There's probably some stronger language I would like to use here, but we're going to keep it family friendly. And it's already forced Order into the early tack pause. We're 3 rounds in, and Order are already going, lads, we got to sort this out because this is not going very well.
That's so, if I'm on Rafflecopter right now, I'm probably ruffling at that, right? It's like we're in their heads. We've already got them to force out attack pause. 3 rounds in, you know you're doing something right. You've gone around the world as well defensively here on Consulate, and you're heading back over to CO meeting. This is just the perfect start to a must-win match. Rafflecopter in the heads of Order. Can Order respond though? And this is what makes you a great team, guys. If you can respond here. Yes, Rafflecopter may be playing a little bit unconventionally. That's fine. You've got to be versatile in OCN. You know that there's a few teams that play unconventionally. Order have got to respond here. It's up to them.
Just envisioning a scenario now where Order bounce back and equal out the half. Imagine how smart that would look to take the tack pause now and have the ability to reset, freshen up the game plan, and form a response. That would be a very admirable effort.
The Gridlock 6-pick onto the Yana, so faking the flank defense, but then getting off of it.
I'd have to assume that they're just prioritizing the nades over anything else. Gridlock in general doesn't really see a whole lot of play in outside of the smokes. Probably not that useful. The track sting is probably not going to dissuade the defenders from playing too aggressively. So not too unusual there. And Yada, in fact, has actually seen quite a bit of play in this stage. I've got to say, we've even seen the occasional ban here and there across some of the APAC leagues in OCN. Should be a comfort pick for Nate.
Nate's a good talking point now as well, because obviously comes in on the Mondays and always does a really solid job, and even got MVP last week. Not having Specker in though, and sort of, it's not a case of which ones or which players better. I feel like they both do different things and bring different things to Order. Maybe this is the sort of game though against an opponent like Roffle where you would actually rather have Specker though.
Maybe. That said,
He's got
Specker at least
that magical box.
Yeah, true, but Specker recently at least has really been struggling on entry. Like his entry stats have been pretty bad compared to normal.
Whoa.
So, hey, I think Spec would
It's
even win a couple of those
95%
games.
mental.
Yeah, true. And he has actually come up strong. In a lot of those matches, he has recovered. So not throwing too much shade there. He's still obviously a great player and has a lot of experience. But yeah, you want to be switched on in the frag department here, especially if you're on order 0-3 down. Not really any look in any of those 3 rounds. Struggling to obtain any semblance of map control and struggling to get picks on the board. There's been, what, 4 kills for Order in the first 3 rounds? Not ideal.
I have to say, going into the playoffs, if Rufflecopter can go on and obviously win this match, they go into playoffs. Have they maybe played their hand a little bit early? Are they going to be able to get Consulate in the playoffs? It isn't going to be best of 1, so yeah, best of 3. But I don't know. I just surely think there's not going to be many teams that are going to want to play Rufflecopter and Consulate after seeing this.
Well, the thing is, in a best of 3, a lot of teams will almost treat it like a best of 1 in the sense that the Decide is really the important map, and if you manage to steal the opponents, then you'll take it. Then maybe teams will give up the Consulate, just knowing that Ruffle will take it and they'll back themselves in their 2 maps, but others might not want to take the risk, and that's why Campo been looking incredibly strong. There's a player on the rappel. Might have seen the hat there. Who is it? It's Cutie on the buck. I think the beanie has saved him there.
Ippy finds one back elsewhere on the map. There's a second from the birthday boy and Jack Dad. I wanted to save that sort of birthday boy phrase for later in the game, but I'm not sure if it's going to come here because Order are struggling. I'm not sure if that moment will arrive for Jack Dad. 3 versus 2 though. A slight advantage as Ippy can now stick the plant with 30 seconds remaining, and Order have at least got a semblance of control around the site. OJ close to Cutie and Campo over at the top yellow stairs.
OJ playing the skinny position at the long dash.
Nice
Swings and finds one, but Nate cuts off the rotate. Leaves it in the hands of OJ. Neither player on the attack has made it to a rappel, I don't believe. So they need to be careful that they don't throw this round away, but it's Nate to find yet another and Order to get their first attack on the board.
Maybe there's something in that attack pause after all. Is Order a 1 and zip since the attack pause? There's only been 1 round, but I'm still right.
100% win rate after attack
100%.
pause. So
exactly.
Cannot argue with the stats. Cannot argue.
Big round to win as well, because you have that attack pause. If you lose the round after that, not only did Rufflecopter go 4-0, but the attack pause is almost end for naught, right? Because you still lost the round after that. You haven't really been able to reset the mental and get back into it. Rufflecopter have just then kept going. So big round win for Order. And in terms of the sort of repercussions for them, I mean, they need to win this game. Like, if they allow Rufflecopter to win out and get all 3 points, Order finish 5th, and as you've said, then there's the gauntlet ramifications later on in the playoffs that are not going to be kind for Order. I mean, there's, I think, a chance then. Does first play 5th? Is that how it works? I haven't actually looked into it.
For the gauntlet.
But it might. Well, yeah.
Well, it'll be, the first round will be 5th versus 4th, and then it's
right.
single
Okay.
elim up until the end where the first team awaits, if that makes sense. And then each stage
Yeah.
you're versing the team above.
Look, I'm going to be completely honest. I haven't really looked too far ahead because we've still got tonight. There was
That's
already
right.
too much on my plate
Someone
tonight.
here's done their homework, so it's
jeez.
I'm in the good books, and you're in detention.
Actually, no, I'm fine. I did my homework for tonight, so I'm happy.
Even production's saying that I'm their favorite, which we all knew that anyway. But all right, let's head into round number 5. Let's quit fluffing around because these teams are taking it pretty seriously. And Voidy with a serious hold here inside of bathroom. 2 mute jammers used to reinforce the walls. Actually, yeah, 3 to also deny intel. A couple of ADS devices as well. A sweaty hold on the garage breach as well, with 2 electro claws being pinged out. And again, this is just frustrating for Order to deal with. They'll need to take time, do their due diligence, not get taken out by what I can only assume it will be a couple of roamers wreaking havoc, and it's not the easiest to juggle.
This is where Order need to keep the tempo going, though. You've had your attack timeout, you've got your round win, but you've just got to keep it going. Cheeky little ping from Jack Dad. Little slow to get off the mark, but he's now found 2 kills on the board. Still donuts for both Cutie and Joker. So right now it's Nate once again who's doing a lot of the heavy lifting, 5 and 3. And it's not surprising that the dude has been playing so well, considering he doesn't even really get to play full time with the team. Minute and a half. Zorda looking to clear out this utility, open up these walls. They've gotten 1 claw, but they've got to get it 1 more, ideally. But they can at least get to work now on one side of the garage.
Good work there from Jack Daddy. The Sun was creating a nice line of sight deep in towards garage, and good utility clear from Order will now allow the southern side of the wall to be opened as well. It's a nice channel in towards the front of White Van where Jack Daddy can consider a plant, but in a 5 versus 5, they'll need to establish the crossfires and make sure they have ample control as the smokes will fly out.
And it's still got plenty of time for it. This has been a much better approach from Order. Probably a more conventional attacking approach. We haven't really seen Rafflecopter try to do anything too crazy either. So they themselves have also played quite defensive. This is going to allow Jack Dad to get the plant in front of this black car. Bouncing gets 1 as a trade elsewhere. Shield still up. Cutie coming in from behind now can actually just flank and gets all 3. Catching 2 in cafeteria, I should say. Boydie getting torn to shreds above as well in press room, and this round has probably gotten away from Rafflecopter, and well, if they're not careful, they can allow Order right back into this game. Bouncing little shoulder peek comes back. Still 20 seconds left, but his teammate Boydie is extremely low on health to be able to help out in a 2 versus 4. Not gonna happen. Jack Dad will shut down Bouncing. Boydie goes for the desperate play. Not gonna happen as well. Stuck in Gardens, and Order make it 3-2.
In what would appear to be, at least so far, a stroke of tactical genius, Order have managed to halt the momentum of Ruffle, get 2 rounds back, and now positioned very, very nicely to equalize out a half that was not going their way at the beginning. That last round, a nice clean execute. They set it up with plenty of time, and once that plant goes down in garage, arguably one of the hardest to retake in the entire comp pool. So definitely going to win it from there, and they do in fact seal the deal.
So split archive tellers to close out this first half, in which Rafflecopter got off to an incredible start, and they looked almost unstoppable. Attack timeout couldn't come at a better time from Order now. Looking back on it, as he said, stroke of genius. Can they close that out? In fairness, though, I think we both agree a 4-2 half in favor of Rafflecopter actually wouldn't have seemed too bad for Order after those first 3 rounds. I would have thought, hey, that's not bad. They'd probably be happy with that. But now they're this close, and the way that they're tracking in the last 2 rounds, you'd have to say that they really want to just tie this up 3-3. They've got the momentum.
It does feel as if their explosive, aggressive playstyle has either slowed down a little bit, or it's being better countered by their opponents of Order. Either way, it just doesn't feel like it's having the same oomph as it really did in the first few rounds, and it is a little bit concerning, but I don't want to get too far in my head. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself as I get ahead of myself in that sentence. I don't even know what I'm spitting out at this point.
Where'd you go?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm letting production's kind words get to my head, I think. Throw me off.
So final round of the half. Order. If you've just joined us, it was Rafflecopter who got off to an amazing start, 3 in a row, and then Order have got the last 2 since that timeout. They look to close out the half now. Here on Archives and Tellers. Split site here on Consulate. Which it's been fun to watch Consulate play out, because the way that Rafflecopter have been playing, it's maybe not possible on other maps, and so far their defense has been a lot of fun to watch, has slowed down, and obviously hasn't been as aggressive in the last 2 rounds, but it's been a treat to watch, and Rafflecopter as a team are a lot of fun to watch, and in a way you almost hope to see them in the playoffs. Rhythm don't.
Yeah. It's often easy to forget that Rafflecopter are only in this league off the back of an open qualifier. They are arguably the least experienced in the league, outside of maybe equal to Rhythm.
Located by attackers.
OJ, he steps up though. Gets the opener in this round onto Joker. It's a nice C4 pick. Side of front office, and that's what you want to see with 2 C4s still in the bank.
Yeah, started with 4, 2 in hand. Most importantly, Campo is also the one that still has one available on the pulse. OJ is flushed out by Cutie. Ties things back up 4-4. But as I mentioned, those C4s could play a pretty vital part to close out this round. The fact that Rufflecopter still have 2 in hand with a minute left is really strong. The fact that Campo is one of them who has one too. If you just capture someone standing a little too still for a little too long, they will go boom boom.
5 seconds left. Order setting up for a take. Above, they need to be mindful of the denial as Cutie shuts down hot shot. Bounce and shut down as well, but there's still 2 C4s. Can they hit the mark? It's Campo from below. Oh, it still hits the mark. It's a double kill. I don't know how it had the range, but he manages to pull it off. Nate now, he's in the 1 versus 2 as Jack Daddy's being down. Can they retake the side?
They'd be safe up there. I mean, Order seemed like they thought they'd be safe up there. Nate, the sub, the super sub for Order. In a 1 versus 2, but Campo and Boydie down below, coming up service stairs now. 30 seconds, so obviously for Rufflecopter, they are going to have to move quickly now. Of course, can't get the trade here. Nate gives away his position, and of course now they're going to swing out together. Boydie comes in a little late, using the put perfectly though from Nate. Boydie surely doesn't whiff this one. This is played out perfectly from Nate. They're both struggling to kill each other. Oh, somehow Boydie wins it. I don't think either of them deserve to win it, but hey, someone has to come out on top. What a mess.
We can take this 7 seconds on the counter defuse to just sink in what's happened. In fact, he actually only just got it off in time. I wasn't looking at the timer, but... well, I think Nate just panicked because he knew he probably didn't have enough ammo to finish him off. Then he switched guns and... let's just go to the break.
What a crazy way to close out the half, and the little dance off Guz. It was interesting. That's probably the word. Let's watch it back one more time here. I thought maybe Nate had an opportunity, but Boydie somehow clutches out.
So what happened there is Nate realizes that he's not going to be able to kill him with his primary. Switches to the Gon 6 once, switches back to his primary, whiffs again, dances around the pillar, only to whip out the Gon 6